Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and as always, I have with me my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
It is going well. I'm happy to be here, and now I've got you playing in my other ear. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad to be here and glad to see so many people joining us tonight and seeing a lot of familiar faces out there in the chat already, some familiar handles. So happy to be here.
Absolutely.
I'm not so happy that Kimmel's back on the air, but I suppose that was probably inevitable.
You know, one has to wonder. Initially, they said suspended, so maybe they left
Yep,
an opening to give him a room to come back. The question is why they brought him back so quickly. And I think that at least some of that has to do with all the pressure from all these celebrities, uh,
absolutely.
which, quite honestly, I found very irritating. I found it very, very irritating. I was tweeting today, and it just annoyed me so much that these same people that for years were celebrating the cancellation of people, even within Hollywood, even people that just didn't agree with them, that had different political opinions, they were actively trying to cancel them. They celebrated it. And then the second something happened to Jimmy Kimmel, they all went out like the biggest crybabies ever about a guy who actually was very disrespectful. He was very inappropriate. You know what I'm saying? We talk about these kind of cases like Gina Carano and even Roseanne Barr, and everybody thought it was great to take Roseanne's show away from her and just like kick her out of her own show that she was the star of, say to the audience that she's dead now, and then just continue without her with much lower ratings. But I mean, they thought that that was cool, and none of them said anything.
Yeah, they were all fine with it. They didn't have a problem.
And just so we're clear, Roseanne Barr is a kooky and strange lady. I'm not gonna say that and that she isn't, and she's also vulgar. But especially in the past few days, I kind of looked into it because I didn't even remember the whole story. I remember that there was a lady that worked for Obama, and what was her name? Valerie. Nobody even
Uh,
remembers this lady's name. Valerie
Jarrett? Is it Valerie
Jarrett.
Jarrett?
Valerie Jarrett. Yes.
Yeah.
So basically,
It wasn't Valerie Bertinelli, okay.
no, I like Valerie Bertinelli. It wasn't her, and it
It
wasn't
wasn't
her.
her. Wasn't
So,
her.
yeah, so it was Valerie Jarrett, and basically the whole, scandal there was that Roseanne one day, at night, I think at the time there was something with Iran, and, Roseanne thought that Obama was making a lot of concessions and giving them money or something along those lines, and I guess this Valerie Jarrett lady was working for him, and they were all in on this thing, and I suppose that Roseanne Barr was trying to explain why she doesn't like it. A normal person would probably articulate that better. She had something to say about the way the lady looked, and she said something that she looked. I, I'm not going to repeat exactly what she said, but she said it looks like a child between. A certain brotherhood that's based in the Middle East, and also a franchise with Charlton Heston.
Yes. Yeah.
In any case, the thing is at the time, people got upset because apparently, I guess if it's a person that's black, saying something like that could be considered racist. Now, over the years, I really think she also handled it very poorly. I think that it was vulgar and it was stupid, and she shouldn't have said it to begin with. It's just if you have a show on a major network and this show initially employs a lot of people and it's also your show, you have a certain responsibility. You know what I mean? I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to just say, like, okay, whatever she did was wonderful. But at the same time, what I do kind of believe that over time she said is that she just didn't realize that that lady was black. And initially, when I heard her say that, and I didn't actually look at pictures, I thought to myself, "Oh, she's probably making it up. She's just making excuses because she did something bad." But you know what? I ended up actually looking at this lady that she was talking about, and she is sort of a how do I explain, of mixed heritage. Do you get what I'm saying, Professor? Professor is so excited about what I said that he vanished. In any case, What happened was she is actually of mixed heritage, and when I looked at photos, I could sort of see where somebody wouldn't know that. Uh, I don't know what Roseanne knew and what she didn't know. It's possible she just looked at a picture and thought she was making a funny joke about because the lady had a silly haircut and kind of in her eyes looked silly. It's not that Roseanne Barr herself looks like a supermodel. Kind of a strange situation to begin with. All I know is that at the end of the day, Roseanne was told delete that tweet and say that you're sorry. So she actually deleted the tweet and then she apologized and she said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I apologize." And it seemed like everything would be fine, but then according to Roseanne, and I don't know what's true or what's not, she believes that Barack Obama called Bob Iger, Disney CEO at the time, and then now again, and she told him, "Hey," and Obama told him, "Hey, you got to fire this lady." And then at the end of that conversation, Bob Iger fired him. The reason I'm mentioning all of this is because people are all kind of up in arms saying, well, Trump, he told the FCC guy to say something, and then he caused pressure, and then Disney didn't want to lose their affiliates, and the affiliates felt the pressure. But the truth is, Trump doesn't have that type of relationship with Bob Iger that he could call and tell Bob Iger, "Hey, can you fire this person?" They don't have that kind of relationship, and Trump's not going to do it. It's not his style. But all I'm saying is that when Obama did it, and it was very kind of they wanted to paint a certain narrative, and I feel like a lot of it had to do with the criticism of Obama himself and how he handled that whole Iran situation. I feel like that was the main reason why they didn't like Roseanne and they wanted her gone. I understand that she's vulgar and kind of wacky, but I don't know if taking her away from her own show at the time was the right thing to do, especially if she immediately deleted it and apologized, but none of that mattered. Now you have Jimmy Kimmel, and I see these same people that were all celebrating Roseanne. They're all so worried about good old Jimmy. And you know what? Jimmy, as opposed to possibly drunk Roseanne that said something stupid and apologized, he said something that was far more offensive. He said it about a person that was just killed in front of his family, a person that a lot of people felt very inspired by, and he felt necessary to tell some stupid jokes that were not funny, but more than that, even try to twist and maneuver a narrative to try to make it seem like somehow right wing people were responsible for what happened to that guy when it was clearly not the case. He knew the information. It was a clear kind of trying to spin the narrative. Far worse, in my opinion, than anything Roseanne Barr did, if you ask me. Yet all the people were crying, how dare Trump say something to the FCC, who actually there's a rule that you're not allowed to take a major crime on national broadcast TV and change the information about it and mislead people, which is exactly what he did. And also, Jimmy Kimmel is not a journalist. There's also certain shows that there's certain things that you could do on them. So Jimmy Kimmel was legitimately in hot water, and those affiliates still don't want him on the air. They still said, "We don't want him. We don't want him here." And yeah. So basically, I guess what I'm saying here is this whole thing is so two-faced. Also with Gina Carano, I see Pedro Pascal. He's going over there. He's I believe in Jimmy. I believe in Jimmy. You are such a hypocrite jerk, in my opinion. That Pedro Pascal, not you, Professor. Pedro Pascal, his own co-star on a show got bullied mainly because of him. Nobody talks about this, Professor. But basically, how did all of Gina Carano's problems start? Do you know how they started? Because Pedro Pascal has a brother who is a
One of the
transformer,
rainbow people.
a rainbow transformer person,
Yes, yes.
and because that he had that, he went to his own profile and he wrote Pedro Pascal, not in the bio, his name next to his name. He wrote his pronouns because he wanted everybody to know how supportive he is of his brother transitioning or whatever it is. Now, I personally don't care what he and his brother do, and he can do whatever he wants. But what happened was, is people started bothering Gina Carano and saying, "Oh, obviously you're not an ally because you didn't put your pronouns next to your name." And they were being really aggressive and mean about it because in spite of of all this kind of media narrative that the people in this group are always the friendliest and nicest and most reasonable, you often run into people within this very group. I don't want to say that they're all like that, but you often run into people, especially from the transformer category. You run into people from that category that are actually not very polite and nice about it. They're even sometimes very aggressive, and I think that that's what she ran into. And at the end, what started was is that she wrote instead of like her pronouns, she wrote beep bop boop with like whatever that was. I mean, could Gina had let it go and not say anything? I suppose. Was it really important to write that? Probably not. But was that enough to start causing problems for her? I don't think so. And the second she did that, Lucasfilm, who were already annoyed because she was stealing their thunder, that's a whole different story. But they were already annoyed with her presence to begin with. So this was actually the ammo that they needed. They wanted to try to get rid of her. And that's where her problem started with all these kind of struggle sessions that they wanted to do. And they had wanted her to do a meeting with 100 LG people to lecture her and all this weird stuff, which she said that she didn't want to do. At the end of the day, she removed the stupid joke, which again, technically, she's not saying anything. You know what I mean? That joke of
Yeah.
hers, you may like it, you may not like it. It is very mild.
Yeah, it's silly is what it is, and then to blow that up into, "Oh, we're gonna force you into struggle sessions," and all sorts of stuff, it's ridiculous.
Right. So basically, she didn't agree to it, and then she was on their radar, and they were just looking for her. Yes, at the end, she reposted a meme, which, if you ask me, I wouldn't have reposted that meme. I have a lot of thoughts about using that kind of imagery and kind of modern day things, but my feelings put aside here, her co-star Pedro Pascal did much worse than her. He used those kind of memes and those kind of imagery, and he was suggesting that half the people in America were those people in those photos, meaning it was the suggestion of what he was suggesting was a lot more malicious and bad. Yet Disney, because he somehow peddled the kind of politics that they like, they decided that he was going to be great, and they'd never say a word to him, and they just give him more and more money and more roles and more franchises for no apparent reason. And her, they basically humiliated her publicly. They wanted to ruin her life, and here we are, 4 years later, and only now, after she basically had Elon Musk back her financially for a lawsuit, and Disney understood that they're about to really, really get in trouble. At the end, they gave her what I believe is probably a huge settlement. We don't know the numbers, but I believe it's something really big. They gave it to her, and they had to, almost apologize. I wouldn't say I would stop short of apologizing, but they had to completely reverse course on what they said about her. And yeah, I mean, that was one very specific case. Imagine Elon Musk didn't back her. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if she hadn't had some real, significant support from someone like Elon Musk, this all would have fallen apart. Not to say that she's destitute. She comes from a wealthy family. She's made, money from, various different ventures she's been a part of. But yeah, still, like the idea of fighting that huge, corporation in court with just the resources of a single person and the lawyers that you could hire under that situation, it's extremely daunting, and I'm sure even with the support of Elon Musk and his money and his lawyers and stuff behind her, it was still very trying. That's why I don't blame her for, just accepting whatever deal it was that they finally offered her. If she got what she wanted from it, yes, we all wanted more. We all wanted to see all the dirty laundry. We wanted to see it so bad. But if she got if she feels whole in what she got from her settlement, then I can't hold it
I,
against her,
I
right?
assume that whatever they paid her had to be very, very significant money because, and I can't blame her. I'm trying to think if I was in her shoes and somebody said, like, I don't want to speculate, but I think that this is, if they paid Scarlett Johansson for a much fluffier thing, they paid her like 40, 50 million. I feel like Gina Carano must have topped that settlement. I would be
I
surprised
would
if it wasn't
imagine.
significantly more than that. That's just my personal opinion. And when you're talking about that kind of money, and at some point there's a price that you just say fine. But I do believe that she was willing to hold out a long time until she accepted that money. And they really, at the end, when they got to the point that they knew in court that all of their emails are going to be available for
Yeah,
discovery, and they're going to
discovery was gonna happen. Yep.
Can you imagine Kathleen Kennedy being brought on the stand in that trial and
Oh,
Bob Iger and whatever? That would have been insanity, and that's
the
why they knew that the second it becomes public and it becomes a trial, it doesn't even matter the outcome at that point. The way those guys are going to look in those things, and especially with a law firm that Elon Musk is backing, that's probably the best in their field of whatever they do. This was going to be a disaster for them, and they ended up paying. But all I know is that on the flip side, I didn't see Jimmy Kimmel getting his career destroyed. I didn't see him going to Elon Musk and getting like the fanciest lawyers in town. I didn't see that he had to do any of that stuff.
yeah.
He just sat there, whined like a little baby, and all those other crybaby celebrities of how like, oh, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. Where were you guys the last 7, 8 years? You hated freedom of speech. You didn't want anybody to say anything. Same with all those kind of access media and legacy media and all those different things. And yeah, I mean, it really annoys me. It really, really annoys me when I
Oh,
look at that.
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's just the hypocrisy of it all, and everyone tries to point to the right, say, "Oh, look what hypocrites you are. You're embracing cancel culture," whatever. Guess what? There's not a person that's been deplatformed as far as I know. Yeah, I'm sure there's a few people who've lost an account on this social media thing or that social media thing, but uh, Jimmy Kimmel didn't what he lost a couple days of a show, and why? Well, we know because we see the actual reporting that came from the Hollywood Reporter, and I guarantee you that if the FCC or Trump or anything had played any role whatsoever, they would have played that up like you would not believe. But we saw the story. We saw what happened. He
Right.
was out of line. The advertisers and the affiliates were pissed, and he when they came to him and said, "Hey, you need to bring the temperature down a little bit. You gotta pull back on the rhetoric a little bit." Basically told them to go screw themselves. And so what choice did Iger and everyone else at ABC, Dana Walden, what choice did they have? They could either let him go back on, the next day and say something else asinine and potentially end the show, ruin his career, and have all sorts of hell come down on ABC and Disney, or they could suspend him and say, "Look, you gotta calm down. You
Well,
gotta bring it. You gotta pull it back a little. This is too
people are
much."
people are posting now the stupid crap that he said. Just out of curiosity, this is the first time we're watching it, so
So is somebody's watching it for us? Because I sure as hell am not.
no, I'm not watching it. Somebody like one of those people, that laugh at Jimmy Kimmel posted this thing, so I guess it's like a little clip of how he's trying to, you know, get away with it. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
okay. Well, I have my Jimmy Kimmel free speech bingo card right here.
Oh, you
So
want to
so so
show
let
us
me
your thing.
know. Oh yeah,
Show
I can show you the free speech bingo card that I made up this evening. I shared
Okay.
this on Meet earlier this evening. I wasn't actually able to be on the show, but there goes Price. He disappeared on me. He'll be right back. But yeah, I shared uh, because I couldn't be on Meet tonight. I was busy, but I was at my laptop and I was messing around, and so I did make a little. They were laughing about having having a bingo card for whatever is going to be said. I was
Sh-
like, that's
you're
perfect.
you're welcome to show us your bingo card,
Here,
Professor.
let
I'm
me.
all in.
There we go. Here's the bingo card. Unfortunately, it's kind of hidden by us here.
You can do
Um,
like
let's see.
smaller
Uh,
or something. I don't know.
uh, uh,
Only the best technology right here on the Night Owl.
Yeah, oh, can I shrink, kinda oh, no, it wants to sit in the middle there. In the ass. Okay, so anyway, yeah, there's the bingo card. We got, standing ovation, celebrity in audience, so, celebrity supporter.
Okay.
Um, he uses the word fascist. He talks about Nexstar. He does not mention the crazy person who shot up an ABC affiliate because of him. Uh, Mocks Charlie Kirk's funeral, calls someone a Nazi, uses the term MAGA, of course, as a pejorative, right? Crying. of course, there's going to be crying. He's going to talk about Trump, talk about Charlie Kirk. He's going to get a badmouth Sinclair. In the bottom corner, we have free speech, the FCC, attacks Disney/ABC, and mentions Antifa. So yeah, if someone's watching and wants to help me fill out the bingo card later, we can do.
It could go both ways, though. It could also be like the a situation that, but behind closed doors, they told him, "You better come out here and start, you know, lowering the temperature." Do you get what I mean?
I don't think that happened. I genuinely don't. I think what happened is that Kimmel got everything he wanted.
Let's look now. Now I'm curious. Let's see what happened.
Oh boy.
Who had a weirder 48 hours, me or the CEO of Tylenol? It's been overwhelming. I've heard from a lot of people over the last 6 days. I've heard from all the people in the world over the last 6 days. Everyone I have ever met has reached out 10 or 11 times. Weird characters from my past. The guy who fired me from my first radio job in Seattle, where we are not airing tonight, by the way. Sorry, Seattle. His name is Larry. In 1989, Larry tried to force me to do a bit called Jokes for Donuts, where people would call in with a joke and I would give them donuts. I refused to do it, and then I made a lot of fun of Larry for suggesting it, and eventually Larry fired me, and I had to move back in with my parents. But even he wrote in to cheer me up. Thank you, Larry, and I want to thank everyone who checked in.
He didn't deserve any support, this man.
Something that I do especially want to mention are my fellow late night talk show hosts, my friend Stephen Colbert.
You didn't have that on your bingo. You should have.
No.
My friends Jon Stewart, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver, Conan O'Brien, James Corden, Arsenio, Kathy, Wanda, Chelsea, even Jay reached out. I heard from late night hosts in other countries, from Ireland and from Germany. The guy in Germany offered me a job. Can you imagine? This country has become so authoritarian. The Germans are like, come here.
Almost one of your bingo things.
Almost got there. Yeah.
Howard Stern and David Letterman were very considerate and kind, and I feel honored to be part of a group of people that knows what goes into doing a show like this. And I also want to thank all of you. Thanks to you supported our show, cared enough to do something about it, to make your voices heard so that mine could be heard. I will never forget it. And maybe.
Yeah, there's the crying.
Wait. I think there's another part to this. Let me see.
There was the crying. He was starting on the crying right there.
Wait, hold on.
I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human. And that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't.
Yeah, it was. We know exactly what your intention was, you asshole.
I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make. But I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever.
Wow, I'm actually surprised to see the slightest bit of contrition. I'm not entirely sure it's honest, but I am very surprised. I was quite certain he was going to come out swinging this evening, and although we know exactly what words he used and the words that he used in the order that he used,
I feel honored to.
We know what he meant. He was trying to gaslight people into thinking that the shooter was associated with MAGA.
It touches many, And if there's anything we should take from this tragedy to carry forward, I hope it can be that, not this. So thank you for listening, and I'll have more to say when we come back.
Just a bunch of bullshit. He knew what he
Seems
was
like it.
doing.
Hey, you know what? I was wrong. I thought he was going to come out swinging. I thought he probably got everything he wanted and told ABC to go screw themselves. He was going to go out and say whatever he wanted. Clearly, somebody somewhere got to him and explained, you absolutely have to go out there with some act of contrition. You have to go out there with hat in hand, and whether you're going to defend yourself or not, you're going to have to go out and say, that was not what I meant. That was not what I intended. And then, decry the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And he did that. I'm going to give him credit for that. Do I really believe he was truthful about it? I don't know.
I don't believe one word. The only thing that he was truthful about is he understood that he was 5 seconds away from losing possibly his career and not being able to have his lucrative late night show, and that was enough to make him cry because he was sad that he was going to lose it. But he
Yeah.
didn't. I don't believe for a second that he actually felt any kind of remorse for what he did. I don't believe it, because he knew exactly what kind of jokes he was making. He knew what he was doing. It was very sneaky. It was very manipulative, and he knew exactly what he did initially. The only thing is, he thought for some reason he could get away with it. He thought it was 2018 or whatever it is. He thought it was 2012. He didn't realize that right now, in this moment in time, nobody has patience for this kind of crap.
Yeah.
And I think that at the end, what Disney probably told him is, listen, if we're going to make some kind of argument here to the FCC or even, affiliates or anything like that, you have to go out and show some kind of remorse, or we can't do this. You have to do it. And I feel like he said, okay, I'll do it. And that's what we got here.
Yeah.
And I just don't believe him. You know what I mean? I don't believe what he's saying. I don't think that he's sincere about it. The thing is, if I'd never seen Jimmy Kimmel cry, I'd say, man, maybe something's happening here. But you know what? I've seen him cry, like, when Trump was elected. Every time, like, he came out to talk, he started crying about nothing. So I understand that this man, has the ability. I'm not saying he's a good actor or a good showman or he's not even funny, but I think that he's able to do that crying thing.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep, I do. Yep. And there's some people in the chat maybe saying maybe we're being unfair. You know what? I will be the first to say we do not know what is actually going on in his brain. We don't know what's going on in his heart. Who knows? It's entirely possible that maybe he realized he was being a true asshole and he really did need to come out and say something to bring down the temperature, and realizing that maybe he had done something wrong. I just past being prologue, I don't see that being the case. But there's no way we can really know what's in his heart. The only thing we can know for sure is, as he moves forward, is he going to keep up the nasty, horrid rhetoric, or is he going to start bringing down the temperature of what he's talking about? And only the future, is gonna show that. And regardless of all of this, Price, he's not getting renewed in spring.
Yeah, I'd be surprised
This
if
show's
they
over.
renew him in spring. They're going to be like the dumbest people. Forget about all the politics. He's not even generating any kind of viewership that
No.
justifies it. Unless now they think that he's going to be some kind of like battle cry. They're all going to rally behind him. But the thing is, people that I think are center and right are not going to watch this guy, and people who are from the left, the more activist they are, we know that they're the worst kind of audience to count on.
Oh
We've
yeah,
seen it.
they're not actually watching this show. The number of people that came out and started screaming about free speech over this thing were way bigger than his audience has ever been.
Right.
Especially in the last 6-8 years. I was reading some stuff earlier, and I saw a stream from someone who actually knows Kimmel, and essentially saying that he's basically had 2 phases over the last 20 years where he was Jimmy Kimmel before his most recent wife, Molly, and then there's Jimmy Kimmel after Molly. And Jimmy Kimmel after Molly is the really hateful, nasty leftist who's constantly, dragging his show into politics and stuff instead of actually just being out there and trying to be an entertainer. And I thought that was fascinating because, yeah, I've hell, I've seen that in my own life. I've seen people who've had their lives basically ruined by a new relationship that changed the way that they presented their politics and so
I see. That's interesting. I never heard that.
yeah.
Somebody asked, Biblin JVC.com says, did he call Mrs. Kirk direct and say he was sorry? I don't think so. If I were Mrs. Kirk, I probably wouldn't even take his call, but I doubt he even tried calling her and saying anything. Uh,
That would be Bible New King James Version. I'm not sure what the COM stands for, but
Marla Sharondoff says,
Bible.
I like Jimmy. Listen, I can't hold it against you. I like you, Marla Sharondoff. I can't say the same thing about Jimmy Kimmel. I've never, back in the day when he was with Adam Carolla on the Man Show, I thought that for whatever that show was supposed to be, it was kind of amusing. It had its own thing and that it
Yeah,
was doing, and at the time, jokes weren't deemed so offensive. It was definitely something catered to kind of men and really leaning into that. And I thought that actually that was probably, some of his better work. I never knew what each person contributed, whether it's Adam Carolla or him or whatever. But I feel like the combination of the both of them there kind of worked. Uh, Over the years, when he kind of became his own entertainer and he went to all these kind of hosting and whatever, I've never religiously watched him. I've always thought that he's just kind of there. Not that any of these other hosts really have impressed me. If you want to know the truth, I think that since Johnny Carson, they haven't had a host as good as Johnny Carson.
yeah,
I know
yeah.
that's a million years ago. I remember this as like a very young kid,
Oh my god.
seeing his show. But even today, if you watch clips from that show, Johnny Carson's show reminds me more of the kind of show that you and I have, and I'll explain why I mean that. Why I'm saying that, because he had people on his show. He wasn't playing all these weird charades with them. He wasn't bothering him. It wasn't this kind of sleek, annoying thing. He'd just sit and talk to them. And usually he'd have a few guests together. Sometimes there's these really big like icons and they're all just sitting, and he knew how to create this conversation that they're sort of laughing at stuff and having kind of a conversation between friends. I don't feel like any of the people after him were able to do that. None of them. And that includes also David Letterman and Conan and Jay Leno. Jay Leno was a very professional guy. He handled
Yeah,
his business
yeah.
very professional. But to say that he had that magic that Johnny Carson had, he didn't have it.
Nah, he didn't have that. No, yeah, man, Johnny Carson, that's it's so funny because I know we were both fairly young even when he went off the air, yet I watched him every time I got because he was so funny. And the guests they would have on and the interactions they would have together and everything, it was magic. Almost every night there was something happening and it all just worked and it was fun and it was entertaining. And the truth is, uh, my mom didn't even mind me staying up and watching it most times because it was, even though sometimes it was a little bawdy, it wasn't, like, adult and offensive, and it didn't have all sorts of, foul language and stuff in it, so it was like, she was okay with it. But, that there's nobody who's been a late night host that has managed to do the same thing. Now, I'll say, I do like Conan. I enjoyed Conan for many years. His did tend to be a little edgier, a little more ridiculous. I mean, if you go back to the early days of Conan's show and you look at some of the ridiculous characters that they had in their sketches, like Pimp Bot 5000 and stuff like that,
I I
it was
I I think that Conan had some good ideas. I don't know if he was a traditional type of host the way
no, no.
Johnny Carson was, and I think when it came to the interviews, the way that Johnny, had that kind of setup, I don't think Conan was as strong. But when it comes to kind of quirky and strange humor that's kind of out there but funny, I actually think that Conan was one of the better ones.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
he had at least character. You could tell that he has his own character. I actually think that maybe his character was perfect for the late night spot.
Yeah.
When they brought him to the Tonight Show, it obviously wasn't so digestible for like mainstream America. He was probably better in that late night slot, in my opinion, but it doesn't really matter. David Letterman, I think that he was good in the late night slot, and I think he was okay. He was pretty good as the host, but I consider Letterman, Leno, and Conan all better than what we have now. They're all
Oh,
better than
by
Colbert.
miles.
Better than Kimmel, better than Fallon, better than Corden, better than Seth Meyers. All those people
Oh,
are just kind of like second rate to me. They're
yeah.
just we went down in quality. Like we started with Johnny Carson at the top. We went to like the second tier, which still respectable of like Letterman, Conan, and Jay Leno. Remember, we went
Yeah.
like to the third tier of like these kind of like kind of
Oh,
losers. Yeah.
yeah, no, the latest generation. I'll say along with Conan, Craig Ferguson. I was a really late convert to Craig Ferguson. I had not really seen his show. He was on for years before I had a friend. We were hanging out one night. We were just sort of watching TV, and I was like, "Oh, who's this guy?" I was like, "You don't know who Craig Ferguson is?" And then like his co-host is a robot skeleton, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" And we watched the whole episode, and I was laughing from start to finish. And so I unfortunately during a lot of the years that he was, that he was on, I was just tied up with so many other things with school and family and all sorts of other stuff. So I didn't get to watch him as much as I wanted, but every time I could, I was watching his show. He was hilarious. And even when it came to like, when facing, really, talking about really difficult things on the show, um, discussing alcoholism or terrorism or anything like that. Like he was incredibly honest and straightforward and touching. I'm sad that he's no longer doing late night, but at the same time, I kind of get why he wa- he wanted his life back, wanted to go do something else.
Sean Green says Letterman was great before the sex scandal. If nothing else, I think that he handled that scandal very well. There were a lot of ways to handle that scandal. I think that was one of the best handlings of a scandal like that I'd ever seen, because somebody basically knew he had an affair and he was trying to extort him. And instead of doing this whole kind of Tiger Woods thing where you're quiet for a month and trying to work things out and pay off people, he just went to the police and said, listen, these people are extorting me. They're saying I had an affair. I did have an affair. And then he went on the air immediately, like 5 minutes after the extortion attempt. He's already on the air saying, I did have an affair. This is all true. And I mean, if you do that so quickly and you just come and you explain like that you made a mistake and you're stupid and you did whatever, there isn't much for anybody to do. I don't know if he changed afterwards, but I
Yeah,
don't think, you know, I think that at least when it comes to his handling it, if you look at all these other celebrities, like these kind of even Clinton or Tiger Woods or all these other ones, all those people handle it poorly. Yeah,
yeah.
I think that
I can't stand any of this latest this latest crop of late night hosts. They're all just a sad version of what we used to have, when we were younger, when that late night television was at its peak. Part of it is, yes, I know it's just different generations and different types of entertainment that people want. I know that's part of it. That's part of why everyone says that, they had like these few years when Saturday Night Live was good, and after that it sucked. Uh, and then other people say, "No, I loved it when I was, this age."
with
There's
Saturday Night Live, the thing is that it's been around for so many years that it had its waves. There was the first wave which was good, but then all the like big stars left, and it sort of
Yep.
dipped. I would say that with the arrival of Eddie Murphy, there was sort of like a revival. It
Yeah.
managed to somehow like boost it, but then with Eddie Murphy's departure, they had all these like strange things that they tried to do. Even though they brought talented people, they just didn't really know what to do with them. And then somehow with Dana Carvey, Mike Myers, later also like
Yeah.
Phil Hartman,
John Lovitz,
John
Phil
Lovett.
Hartman, Tim Meadows. Yeah, Kevin Nealon, like that crew that all came together, and then we got some others in there as well.
Th they
Was
they
incredible. It was
they brought
absolutely incredible.
additional good people like Adam Sandler, Chris
Yeah,
Rock, which I
yeah,
don't know if he really blended in so well there. For some reason, I think that he left pretty early. Sandler didn't stay like a million years either. But in any case, David Spade,
no,
they had all those people there. Uh, Even their kind of lower level people all ended up having careers. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
Even like whoever wasn't at the top of that class were still pretty legitimate comedy people. Today, well, I don't know what they're gonna do this season because they fired everybody, but for the past
They
several
fired
years,
just about everyone.
yeah, and the funny thing is when they kept announcing that they're firing these people from Saturday Night Live, I kept putting that meme of the guy that goes who from like
Ooh,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
yes.
I kept putting that because I honestly did not know any of those people that were being fired from Saturday Night Live. They're like, "Oh, can you believe that this person is leaving?" And I honestly said, "Who?" It wasn't even just a meme. I really was thinking that each time. I don't know who these people are. The show hasn't been funny in years, and but then I don't know if you saw that somebody was like, "Oh, it's so great they're bringing fresh TikTok talent," and I'm like, "Oh
Oh my
no,
god, yes,
oh
that's the
no,
worst. That's the worst.
that's the
Yeah, oh yeah.
worst thing you can do.
We're
They're
we're
bringing
gonna bring on TikTok talent.
they're
Yeah,
bringing
because
fresh TikTok talent to
you know,
Saturday Night Live."
because it's worked out so well bringing like YouTubers in to make television shows and bringing podcasters in to write movies. Yeah. No.
I when I see TikTok, you know what annoys me the most? When there's people that are kind of trying to do funny sketches on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, it's super cringe and annoying, and I can't explain how much it annoys me. I don't like any of that. It's stupid, and they're not good at doing it for the most part. Maybe once in a while, somebody will do something funny. Honestly, most of what you see on TikTok is stupid. Unfortunately, it carries over to, like, X sometimes with those videos that you keep on scrolling and seeing stupid things. A lot of it carries over to YouTube Shorts, which also is unfortunate. Uh YouTube Shorts, I think that whole thing has created, like, an ADHD generation, in my opinion, and I'm just not excited about it, but there's nothing I can do. That's what people like now. They wanna watch 30 seconds of a bunch of like, stupid things, and then watch another 30 seconds of another stupid thing. Unfortunately, that's the truth.
And
But
the reality is that they sit there and they don't just watch one. They watch 40 of them in a row. And there's just this dopamine hit that they get from each of it's really, really pathetic. I just
y
honestly.
You know what's sad? That sometimes I don't even wanna click on it. I click, like, one, and then I flip a few, and I watch a few, and I have to stop myself and say, like, "Stop doing this. You have other things to do. This is a waste of your time. This is stupid crap." But even they'll get a few flips from me that'll look like at another one, at another one. I'm like, "What are you doing?" It's such garbage. Like, I get annoyed with myself that I even invested a few minutes watching this trash, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Radio streamer says, "You're not wrong, Price. I've seen it with my nephews. I make them put the phones down and go fishing and touch grass. It's really good. I mean, these days, you've said you want to have dinner. Most of the people pull out their phones and do stuff. I mean, sometimes even I do it because if there's something that I'm working on or I have to look, i we're all kind of we've been corrupted by this technology. It's taken effect on every single one of us. Still, as adults, since we lived at a time where we didn't always look at these screens, we are capable of putting it aside for a few hours and not playing with it every second if we had to. But kids that grew up with it with that phone in their face, they're not capable of doing that.
Oh, no, this is the first year that, my son's high school has implemented a no phones policy. Unfortunately, it's not what I think is necessary, which is a, bell-to-bell policy where literally you're just not allowed your smartphone in the school, but, they do, make the students put them away during class times, and, some of the teachers and my son, all they've told me, like, there's students that are like sitting there fidgeting because they're desperate to get a hold of their phone again so that they can go look at TikTok or they can go look at, some other, social media stuff. Like they literally don't know what to do with themselves without that phone in their hand and without that media playing in their face. at all times. It's rather sad, really.
I agree. Just to sort of sum up as much as I can with this Jimmy Kimmel thing, I don't care. He has a show, he doesn't have a show. That's up to Disney. I just, I don't like the hypocrisy around it. I don't like the fact that Trump saying to the FCC guy, "Hey, what's going on here?" And then he calls them and says, "Hey, what's going on here?" That's bad, but somehow Obama directly, apparently, allegedly calling Iger and asking him to remove a person, that's kind of crazy that it looks good to everybody, but this looks bad. The other thing is that for whatever it's worth, and I understand that she's bonkers crazy. I do not actually endorse a lot of the stuff that she says or does, but I will say that she deleted the tweet, Roseanne, and she apologized immediately. So if the whole idea of saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did that. That was a misunderstanding. I'm sorry," isn't that enough? Do you get what I'm saying? Why is this guy that he
Mhm.
did what he did now? Why is that great? And why is everybody whining about Trump? I don't remember anybody up in arms talking about Obama at that time. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember the
Absolutely.
media. I don't remember the celebrities crying that Obama called allegedly Bob Iger. I didn't see them 400 of them sign a letter weeping and crying, about it. I don't remember that. Nobody said
Yeah,
anything. There was not even one voice in this lady's
absolutely not.
corner. As crazy and weird as she is, there wasn't one voice saying, "Hey, you know what? She's just a crazy lady who made some stupid joke and she apologized for it. It was a misunderstanding." It could have been. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's not that I even like her joke, but I'm saying, why is it that this side is everything is always great and everything is always like righteous and wonderful, and it's always like the spin is that they're like so like honorable and classy and great and whatever, and all the other people are shit. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And it doesn't actually feel that way. People that act that way at the end, they feel like the ones that are being the assholes. And most of them are sitting around there with like millions and millions of dollars living in some kind of bubble. They have no idea what happens in the real world. They're not connected to regular people. And they're the ones that decide like right and wrong and lecturing and all this stuff. All these celebrities whining just made me annoyed even more. And I'm usually kind of annoyed with them.
Yep.
Anyhow, yeah, so I don't know why, on a brighter note, Trump was in the UN today.
Oh gosh. On a
But,
on a brighter note, yeah, I was gonna say we were talking about TikTok, and I was wondering, how many different Tylenol challenges you saw today.
oh, yeah, the Tylenol thing today. I mean, that's another thing
Freaking
that happened. So many
moron!
crazy things happen in one day, like, it's hard to keep up with everything. We'll get to
Oh my
Tylenol. Let
god.
let
Oh,
let's start with the UN, and then we can also, like, kind of, like, shift towards the Tylenol. Uh, so Trump UN, did you watch his speech?
I did not. I've seen a clip or two, but that's it. Just been way too busy today to actually get to watch it. So,
There was
uh,
one part I wanna put this. I don't know why this was, first of all, I'll sum it up for you because I watched it. Basically, he walked in there and Trump was like maximum Trump. First of all, he arrives and for some reason, as he's on the escalator, it doesn't work suddenly. So
oh
he has to
yeah,
walk up the stairs himself. It really feels like that's not a coincidence.
oh yeah. Well, especially after because I did see this. So yeah, the escalator breaks, and then there was microphone trouble, and then his teleprompter broke. It
Right.
doesn't feel like those are just a coincidence.
It felt like too many things. But the thing is that I have to hand it to him that he really kind of not only took it in stride, but just kind of like, made fun of the whole thing, turned the tables on them. Uh, this is the one with okay, let me share this. This is him arriving and this thing getting stuck.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning.
Mr. President, what is your message in light of the Palestinian?
So they're going up the escalator and it stops. I heard some people saying that that's kind of like a security issue. That, you know, if something like that happens, there has to be like a bunch of security surrounding him.
Oh, of course.
But people were saying that there weren't enough security, that they were saying that the Secret Service didn't handle that properly. I don't know if that's true or not, but I did see people saying that. And then, of course, like he came in and he had, you know, he had whatever he wanted to say here.
Had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen, but she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. Just went on. Thank you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier. Thank you very much. I didn't think of it at the time because I was too busy working to save millions of lives. That is the saving and stopping of these wars. But later I realized that the United Nations wasn't there for us. They weren't there. I thought of it really after the fact, not during these negotiations, which were not easy. That being the case, what is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action. Now, after ending all of these wars and
So there was that. And then, so there's another thing that made me laugh. I don't even know if it was that important, but there's a part that Trump tries to explain how the whole world is stupid with global warming, and I don't know why, it was really funny. Did you happen to catch a clip of that?
No, I didn't. Yeah, like I said, I've
think
hardly
I
seen
think
any.
I have it.
I saw just like the slightest little clips here and there today, and that was it. So
Let me
yeah.
see if this is the one that I'm thinking of, because I was genuinely cracking up.
things, you know? They actually said during the campaign they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. And I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail. And if you don't stop people that you've never seen before, that you have nothing in common with, your country is going to fail. I'm the president of the United States, but I worry about Europe. I love Europe. I love the people of Europe. And I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration. This double-tailed monster destroys everything in its wake, and they cannot let that happen any longer. You're doing it because you want to be nice. You want to be politically correct, and you're destroying your heritage. They must take control strongly and immediately of the unmitigated immigration disaster and the fake energy catastrophe before it's too late. The carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions, and they're heading down a path of total destruction. You know, the carbon footprint was a big, big thing a few years ago. I remember hearing about the carbon footprint, and then President Obama would get into Air Force One, a massive Boeing 747, and not a new one, an old one with old engines that spew everything into the atmosphere. He'd talk about the carbon footprint, we must do something. Then he'd get in and he'd fly from Washington to Hawaii to play a round of golf. And then he'd get back onto that big, beautiful plane and he'd fly back and he'd talk about, again, global warming and the carbon footprint. It's a con job. At extreme cost and expense, Europe reduced its own carbon footprint by 37%. Think of that. Congratulations, Europe. Great job. It cost yourself a lot of jobs, a lot of factories closed, but you reduced the carbon footprint by 37%. However, for all of that sacrifice and much more, it's been totally wiped out and then some by a global increase of 54%. Much of it coming from China and other countries that are thriving around China, which now produces more CO2 than all the other developed nations in the world. So all of these countries are working so hard on the carbon footprint, which is nonsense, by the way. It's nonsense. You know, it's interesting. In the United States, we have still radicalized environmentalists, and they want the factories to stop. Everything should stop. No more cows. We don't want cows anymore. I guess they want to kill all the cows. They want to do things that are just unbelievable, and you have it too. But you know, we have a border, strong, and we have a shape, and that shape doesn't just go straight up. That shape is amorphous when it comes to the atmosphere. And if we had the most clean air, and I think we do, we have very clean air, we have the cleanest air we've had in many, many years. But the problem is that other countries, like China, which has air that's a little bit rough, it blows. And no matter what you're doing down here, the air
It
up here
blows.
tends to get very dirty because it comes in from other countries where their air isn't so clean. And the environmentalists refuse to acknowledge that. Same thing with garbage. In Asia, they dump much of their garbage right into the ocean. And over about a 1 week and 2 week journey, it flows
It's true,
right
though.
past Los Angeles. You've seen it. Massive amounts
He's
of
not
garbage,
wrong.
almost too much to do anything about. Flowing past Los Angeles, past San Francisco. And then somebody will get in trouble because he dropped a cigarette on the beach. The whole thing is crazy. The primary effect of these brutal green energy policies has not been to help the environment, but to redistribute manufacturing and industrial activity from developed countries that follow the insane rules that are put down to polluting countries that break the rules and are making a fortune. They're making a fortune. European electricity bills are now 4 to 5 times more expensive than those in China and 2 to 3 times higher than the United States. And our bills are coming way down. You probably see that our gasoline prices are way down. You know, we have an expression, drill, baby, drill. And that's what we're doing. We're going to be much lower in a year from now. But they've come way down over the last year. As a result, every air conditioner is like very uncommon to see one in some of these countries because the electric cost is so high. So while the U.S. has approximately 1,300 heat-related deaths annually, that's a lot, Europe loses more than 175,000 people to heat deaths each year because the costs are so expensive you can't turn on an air conditioner. What is that all about? That's not Europe. That's not the Europe that I love and know. All in the name of pretending to stop the global warming hoax. The entire globalist concept of asking successful industrialized nations to inflict pain on themselves and radically disrupt their entire societies must be rejected completely and totally, and it must be immediate. That's why in America I withdrew from the fake Paris Climate Accord, where, by the way, America was paying so much more than every country. Others weren't paying. China didn't have to pay until 2030. Russia was given an old standard that was easy to meet, 1990 standard. For the United States, we're supposed to pay like $1 trillion. And I said, this is another scam. The fact is, the United States has been taken advantage of by the world for many, many years, but not any longer, as you probably noticed. I unleashed massive energy production and signed historic executive orders to hunt for oil, but we don't have to do much hunting because we have the most oil of any nation anywhere, oil and gas in the world. And if you add coal, we have the most of any nation in the world. Clean, I call it clean, beautiful coal. You can do things today with coal that you couldn't have done 10 years ago, 15 years. So I have a little standing order in the White House. Never use the word coal, only use the words clean, beautiful coal. Sounds much better, doesn't it? But we stand ready to provide any country with abundant, affordable energy supplies if you need them, when most of you do. We're proudly exporting energy all over the world. We're now the largest exporter. In the United States, we want trade and robust commerce with all nations, everybody. We want to help nations. We're going to help nations. But it must also be fair and reciprocal. The challenge with trade is much the same with climate. The countries that follow the rules, all their factories have been plundered. It's really sad to watch. They've been broken. They've been broken by countries that broke the rules. That's why the United States is now applying tariffs to other countries, and much as these tariffs were for many years applied to us, uncontrollably applied to us. We've used tariffs as a defense mechanism under the Trump administration, including my first term, where hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs were taken in. And by the way, we had the lowest inflation, and now we have very low inflation. The only thing different is that we have hundreds of billions of dollars flowing into our country. But this is how we will ensure that the system works for everyone and is sustainable into the future. We're also using tariffs to defend our sovereignty and security throughout the world, including against nations that have taken advantage of former U.S. administrations for decades, including the most corrupt, incompetent administration in history, the sleepy Joe Biden administration. Brazil now faces major tariffs in response to its unprecedented efforts to interfere in the rights and freedoms of our American citizens and others, with censorship, repression, weaponization, judicial corruption, and targeting of political critics in the United States. I have a little problem saying this because I must tell you, I was walking in and the leader of Brazil was walking out. We saw him and I saw him, he saw me, and we embraced. And then I'm saying, can you believe I'm going to be saying this in just 2 minutes? But we actually agreed that we would meet next week. We didn't have much time to talk, like about 20 seconds. They were in retrospect, I'm glad I waited because this thing didn't work out too well. But we did talk. We had a good talk, and we agreed to meet next week, if that's of interest. But he seemed like a very nice man, actually. He liked me, I liked him. But if you, and I only do business with people I like. When I don't like them, I don't like them. But we had, at least for about 39 seconds, we had excellent chemistry. It's a good sign. But also in the past, Brazil, can you believe this, unfairly tariffed our nation. But now, because of our tariffs, we are hitting them back, and we're hitting them back very hard. As president, I will always defend our national sovereignty and the rights of American citizens. So I'm very sorry to say this, that Brazil is doing poorly and will continue to do poorly. They can only do well when they're working with us. Without us, they will fail, just as others have failed. It's true. Next year, the United States will celebrate the 250th anniversary of our glorious independence, a testament to enduring power and American freedom and spirit. We will also be proudly hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and shortly thereafter, the 2028 Olympics, which is going to be very exciting. I hope you all come. I hope that countless people from all over the globe will take part of these will be great celebrations of liberty and human achievement, and that together we all can rejoice in the miracles of history that began in July 4th, 1776, when we founded the light to all nations. And it's something really that an amazing thing came out of that date. It's called the United States of America. In honor of this momentous anniversary, I hope that all countries who find inspiration in our example will join us in renewing our commitment, values, and those values really that we hold so dear together. Let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity. And let us safeguard our sovereignty and cherish qualities that have made each of our nations so special, incredible, and extraordinary. In closing, I just want to repeat that immigration and the high cost of so-called green renewable energy is destroying a large part of the free world and a large part of our planet. Countries that cherish freedom are fading fast because of their policies on these two subjects. You need strong borders and traditional energy sources if you are going to be great again. Whether you have come from north or south, east or west, near or far, every leader in this beautiful hall today represents a rich culture, a noble history, and a proud heritage that makes each nation majestic and unique, unlike anything else in human history or any other place on the face of the earth. From London to Lima, from Rome to Athens, from Paris to Seoul, from Cairo to Tokyo and Amsterdam to right here in New York City, we stand on the shoulders of the leaders and legends, generals and giants, heroes and titans who won and built our beloved nations, all of our nations.
There was one part
with their
about
own
global
courage,
warming
strength,
that he
spirit,
talked
and
about.
skill.
I don't know if I found
Our
it.
ancestors climbed to mountains, conquered oceans, crossed deserts, and trekked over wide open plains. They charged into thunderous battles, plunged into grave dangers, and they were soldiers and farmers and workers and warriors and explorers and patriots. They built towns into cities, tribes into kingdoms, ideas into industries, and small islands into mighty empires.
If nothing
You're
else,
a
he's
part of
stood
all
here
of
for an
that.
hour and
They
spoken.
were champions for their
Give him
people who
credit
never
for
gave
that.
up and who never, ever gave in.
Biden
Their
couldn't do
values
that.
defined
Oh,
our
no.
national identities.
Not a
Their
chance.
visions forged our magnificent destiny. Everybody in this room is a part of it in your own way. Each of us inherits the deeds and the myths, the triumphs, the legacies of our own heroes and founders who so bravely showed us the way. Our ancestors gave everything for homelands that they defended with pride, with sweat, with blood, with life, and with death. Now the righteous task of protecting the nations that they built
Willem says he's
belongs
like
to
an
each and every one
WWF
of us.
wrestler. He plays a role.
So
in front of
together,
the
let us
camera. It's not
uphold our
really
sacred duty to our people and to
He
our
does the
citizens.
role
Let
pretty
us
well,
protect
though.
their borders, ensure
He's-
their
he's-
safety, preserve their cultures,
He's
treasures,
good at
and
keeping up his
traditions,
kayfabe,
and fight,
I
fight, fight
suppose.
for their precious dreams and their cherished freedoms. And in friendship and really a beautiful vision, let us all work together to build a bright, beautiful planet, a planet that we all share, a planet of peace in a world that is richer, better, and more beautiful than ever before. That can happen. It will happen. It will happen, and I hope it can happen and start right now, right at this moment. We'll turn it around. We're going to make our countries better, safer, more beautiful. We're going to take care of our people. Thank you very much. It's been an honor. God bless the nations of the world. Thank you very much. Bye.
We've been listening here to President Trump giving his first address to the UN General Assembly since returning to office.
And
That's what it
then
represents. And it's not politically correct. I'll be very big.
What'd you say?
I was going to say, and then the UN Human Rights Council went into another room and wrote yet another declaration of human rights violations for Israel. So
Badly criticized for saying it, but I'm here to tell the
They
truth.
do it
I don't
every
care.
week.
It doesn't matter to me.
They do that every
I'm in New
week.
York City.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a lot safer. Crime, we're getting crime down. And by the way, speaking of crime, Washington, D.C.,
There was something that he said that he was like making
barely
fun
use
of
them.
global
You know, they-
warming. And I don't know where it is, but it was really funny. But it's okay. I think not the main idea. The bottom line is he came in here, he said what he wanted to say. He stood here for an hour. They tried to make the escalator not work, the teleprompter, like they tried everything, and he just brushed it all off. And objectively, I think that, you know, whether you like him or not, for whatever he needed to do here, I think he gave a good performance. You may not, whether you like the content of what he said, that's, you know, for people to decide. But I'm saying that in general, I think that when a president has to come and make a speech, I thought he did pretty well.
Empress,
This is
Empress in him says, imagine Kamala in front of the UN with a broken teleprompter.
Yeah, and
Oh, man.
speaking of Kamala, which I think is interesting, is that she today went out to like some shows to promote a book of hers. First of all, this whole book of hers is pathetic. It's like it's a book celebrating how she lost an election. It's like if you're the loser of the election, I don't know what you're celebrating. You know what I mean? And I think there were even people more from her, you know, I don't know if to say party or whatever you want to call it, that were saying that. Let me try to find this thing that I had.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I think this is it.
Phantom Monk, yeah. She'd just be cackling
So I think this guy was saying stuff
In
about
front
her.
of
I, I'm not saying I'm a fan of his. Like, I don't really know. I think he should stick to sports, but whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't really
Who cares
matter.
what she has to say at this particular moment in time? I hope the book is successful. When you had an opportunity as the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States of America to address so many different issues, and instead what you did was go into protective mode. You wanted to show your loyalty or what have you, and then you lose the election. And what you want to do is point out all the reasons that you didn't win and point the finger of blame, it seems, in everybody else's direction instead of yourself. I don't think that she's going to have any support from the Democratic Party. I can tell you that much. And then you have to take into consideration the level of support that she had coming in. This is an individual that was, that was used to bypass what some would say the democratic process is. There was no primary.
Uh-huh.
True.
Joe Biden was awful during that debate, that June 27th. Yes, he ultimately stepped away in July. But if you talk to many people within the Democratic Party, they were talking about how this was all part of the plan, because had he departed significantly earlier, when we all saw slippage in him, as far as I was on a record a year earlier, seeing the slippage. Had he departed, there would have been a Democratic primary. She would have had to compete to be the Democratic nominee. And there were people who did not want her to do that because clearly they didn't believe, whether it was Gavin Newsom, whether it was Barack Obama or somebody else. And it seems like she knew it. And that was the kind of feedback she received. And to talk about all of that now, post-election loss, nobody wants to hear that. That's crying, that's whistling into the wind.
I got to say just quickly on this, she didn't speak up, but neither did Josh Shapiro. Neither did Gavin Newsom. Neither did all. I mean, everybody just kind of stood by and,
Oh, no, John. Don't do that. Don't do that. Josh Shapiro is the governor of the state of Pennsylvania. He has a job. He's in office, okay? The reality is that you were the vice president. You were swearing up and down that you were in the room for all the major decisions, and then come to find out you're acknowledging that that was not the case. So if you're an American voter, which I am, because I am no politician, I am an American voter. I am a conscientious observer, and I'm hearing this stuff from you now, which was opposite of what you were verbalizing to America in pursuit of their vote. Now that you're trying to sell a book and we're hearing a totally different tune, all I'm trying to say to you is that folks are going to remember that, and you weren't that strong of a candidate before. Respectfully, remember, she didn't make it to Iowa in 2020, okay? And then in 2024, you lost every swing state. You lost a popular vote for the first time since 2004. Nobody wants to hear it now. I believe her political career is over.
Not exactly a ringing endorsement, I would say.
Yeah, he tends to be a pretty Stephen Smith tends to be pretty centrist in the way that he sees things. Yes, he's absolutely on left of center, but compared to a lot of people who are on the left who are completely
he's
off
a little
the
more
map,
grounded.
he tends to be pretty pragmatic in what he's, in the way that he approaches the politics. Yeah, I think he's better off just sticking to sports, but that's okay. You know what? He has a voice. He has, he has some good things to say. He has some things I agree with, other things I don't. But at the very least, for someone who's on the left, he's pretty reasonable. It's like I couldn't imagine that John Fetterman was going to be like the voice of reason for the Democrats, right? How the hell did that happen? But here we are, right? So.
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, I want to say something that I think that compared to a lot of other people, he does seem a little more pragmatic and reasonable. I'm not saying he doesn't have a voice and he can't voice it. I'm just saying, like, he was sitting around talking about sports, and then one day, like for years, and one day it's like, oh, I'll just start doing whatever. I mean, I guess it's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's just, I don't know. It was kind of a strange shift, but I don't think he's anybody's problem. This is another thing.
Say that if you want a messenger to go against Donald Trump, you can do far better as Democrats than Kamala Harris. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at her net favorable ratings nationwide. Back in October of 2024, she was at -5 points. Not exactly great, but pretty close to the zero mark, right? Pretty close to even. But now, down under she goes. She's at -13 points. That's an 8-point drop. Since the general election among the overall electorate, she is not well liked at this particular point. The American people, they don't want this. They don't want her. And get this, she's 37 points underwater with independents. If you can't win independents, you can't win the election. And the bottom line is, with those in the center of the electorate, those who are the most up for grabs, she is way, way, way underwater. She is definitely swimming with the fishes.
And then
when she shows up for this interview, she sounds drunk.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't like to accuse people of being functioning alcoholics, but I don't know. Maybe there's some out there in the audience who might be able to confirm what this looks like.
Maybe she's not a good speaker. I don't know. I know that she's not good at these situations and hasn't been. That's also why her campaign was a disaster.
Right now, Donald Trump, a tyrant. We used to compare the strength of our democracy to communist dictators. That's what we're dealing with right now, Donald Trump. And these titans of industry are not speaking up.
She had a few.
It wasn't until I was writing that chapter. In fact, Doug and I, my husband, it wasn't until I was writing that chapter that we had ever talked about election night.
Oh,
We had never talked about election
it
night.
felt traumatic.
It was that traumatic. We had never talked about election night. So I'm writing it and I'm thinking about it. And, and there were a number of people who I could kind of like, what was your, like the different perspectives of a moment. And that's when Doug told me that he had been out campaigning with my brother-in-law in Pennsylvania. And we met back up in DC. And I remember him being a little out of sorts, but there was so much happening. But on his way back from a rally where there was an incredible amount of enthusiasm, people on the ground were like, we got it, we're going to do this. And then they talked with a mutual friend of ours who was over at Fox News in the war room, who had been hearing about data that suggested things were not looking great in Pennsylvania. And the way I write about it, I mean, my poor husband, so he didn't want to put that on me. He went upstairs and he basically went in the shower and prayed that it was not going to be a bad night. And it was, my family was there, everybody was there. I've always on election night done family and friends and dinner. But that night, I grieved in a way that I have not since my mother died.
Wow.
And it was not at all about losing a race. I knew what it was going to mean for the country. I was going to say for the family. And that's how I felt for the country.
We all agree
I
with
knew
that.
what it was going to mean, but I knew.
This is so awful.
All I could say over and over again is, my God, my God, my God. It was very difficult. I mean, I know everyone.
Even at 2 times the speed, it was annoying. There was something else. I was looking for something else. Maybe it's this thing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I was looking for it. I hope that this is it.
I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
This is a part where she's
running
being
as,
asked about
you're the first woman elected vice
Buttigieg, and
president.
she's like, "Oh well,
black
because he
woman
was
and a
gay,
South
I didn't
Asian
take him."
woman elected to that high office.
And
very
I don't know
newly
why it
elected
kind of
president,
sounds
to say
ridiculous
that he
considering
couldn't
how
be on the
woke
ticket
they are.
effectively because he was gay. It's hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for president of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump, who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for president of the United States, and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk. No matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but we had such a short period of time. And the stakes were so high. I think Pete is a phenomenal public servant. And I think America is and would be ready for that. But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks to go, and maybe I was being too cautious, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that. Maybe I was. But that's the decision I made. And I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that. Yeah. With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
I don't know why. She thinks she's being candid and it's making her look good, but it kind of just makes her look like a hypocrite. Professor?
Yeah.
Is that not hypocrisy a bit?
It is just a little.
My concern about him running for re-election was completely separate from my admiration and knowledge about his capacity to serve as president of the United States, which was consistent and never wavered.
Well, when we sit here, as we sit here today, do you think he would have been up for running the country for 4 more years?
Here's the distinction that I make. It's and having had the experience myself, it is one thing to have the capacity to govern It is another thing to go through an election for president of the United States. So you are an athlete. You may
And it's
appreciate this kind
another
of
thing
metaphor.
to not
Running for president of the
poop your
United States is like being in a marathon
at
at a
a
sprinter's
public
pace
event.
with people throwing tomatoes at you every step you
I
take.
love that it's called
It is not for the
107
lighthearted.
days. It's
It
like
takes an
she's
incredible amount of
documenting her
endurance
failure.
and
I
stamina.
don't really know.
And
It's just
can you
so
imagine
bizarre.
doing it while you are also carrying literally the weight of the world as being president of the United States? So the distinction I make is about capacity to be president and what that election would
What a
require
bunch
in
of
that campaign,
crap. On
especially
one
running
hand,
against
he
Donald
can't
Trump.
be president. On the other hand, she totally trusts that he would be the president.
Yeah. But he could be president, but he couldn't run. He couldn't manage the campaign. Guess what? He could barely manage getting up in the
about
morning.
the decision around the president abandoning his reelection campaign, the timing there and how it's handled. You say in part, page 46, it's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that like a mantra as if we'd all been hypnotized. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition. It should have been more than a personal decision. Whose decision should that have been? How should that decision have been made?
So when I write this, it's because I realize that I have and had a certain responsibility that I should have followed through on. Which is, and so when I talk about the recklessness, as much as anything, I'm talking about myself. There was so much, as we know, at stake. And as I write, the where my head was at the time is that it would come off as being completely self-serving.
If you said to President Biden that you did not think he should run again.
Yeah.
So she knew he couldn't run, but didn't do anything about it, basically. So another thing that I wanted to tell you, Professor, is that I couldn't find the clip, but there was something that she said that really was strange today. She was on one of these shows and she's saying, oh, all the people in the world leaders, when they see Trump, they're all laughing. They're all laughing at him because, meaning like they don't take him seriously. They're like laughing at him. And when I saw that, I thought that was such a strange thing to say. First of all, he won the election and she didn't. That's one thing. I think that if anybody... I don't want to say laughing, but if anyone's laughing, there's more of a chance that they'll laugh at her. That's the first thing. The other thing is she's saying it on a day where he's, talking at the UN. They may not like him, but I don't think that they're laughing. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't think he's given the impression to any of these countries in the world that laughter is exactly what he's getting here, in my personal opinion. And the reason why she said that, why she even did that whole thing, is that it's kind of like a one-hit wonder. If you remember the debate she had with Trump, one of the moments that she actually, the only time if it's like a boxing match that she got like one punch in there, is that she said that the world is laughing at him, world leaders laugh at him, and it annoyed him, and he kind of lost his cool. And that was a moment that she actually had a bit of an upper hand in that debate, which she was awful in the debate, but she did manage to annoy him, and he didn't handle it very well, in my opinion, in that debate with her. Now, she probably thinks to herself, oh, one time I said that and that was like so great, but that's like a one-hit wonder. You know what I mean? The fact that you said it then in a debate and it annoyed him, I think that saying that now is just ridiculous. So I couldn't find the clip, but it was part of her stupid things that she was saying today was also like how all the world leaders laugh at him. And I really don't think that that's an accurate description.
No, I don't think they do at all. I think a lot of them despise him.
Maybe hate
because
him.
he's
Maybe
an
hate his
outsider.
guts. Yeah.
He's an outsider. He's not your typical Politico. They despise him because he's independent minded and he's not part of the, globalist whatever that they're trying to install in every single country all over the place. He's in fact very much the opposite of that. So yes, I do think there's people who despise him, do not like him. I don't think in particular there are very many people who are laughing at him. So yeah, we do have we've got a gift over on.
Okay. I hope I didn't miss anything today. Have you been paying attention? I didn't actually look
Yeah,
at it.
we just saw the one. We got the gift over here.
Okay.
Over here
on, let's see. Oh, I see a lot of these gift memberships suddenly came up. Okay, let me try to find this. Okay. So is the Phobos member for 10 months, and also he gifted 5 He gifted 5 memberships.
5 memberships, yes.
I want to highlight that for a second. Istafobos is, of course, a friend of the channel, regardless of this very generous contribution. You've probably seen him on this stream a number of times, and he's on other streams that I do. So, yeah, Istafobos is a good guy. If you're not already following him, you should actually do that. So you have he sent 5 Price of Reason Live memberships, which we're very thankful for. And then I see that Adam Gray, who's a moderator here, received a gift membership. Ace Hanlon received one. Mog received one. Ryan C received one, and JPS received one. And that's really cool.
Fabulous. Yes.
And Chuck Berry did a song by Ding-a-ling. I want you to think the chorus. I'm not 100% sure. You know what was crazy though about Biden? This is the craziest thing. This is a strange segue, but have you watched the documentary about Charlie Sheen?
I have not.
So basically, there's a documentary about Charlie Sheen and his life. I still have a few. It's like 2 parts, 90 minutes and 90 minutes. I'm almost done with it. I have like a few minutes left. But generally speaking, it's more intriguing than you'd think it would be. A few people told me, hey, we sat to watch it. We thought we would watch 5 minutes of it. And somehow we couldn't stop watching it. I mean, he is kind of an interesting character.
Yeah.
Maybe a flawed one. But he's a flawed character, but certainly as a documentary, he sits and he talks a lot about his life, and a lot of the things, seem somewhat honest. He says a lot of things about the crazy stuff he did. It's hard not to sort of find it intriguing to some extent. And I guess he's been sober for 7 years. Apparently, that's what he says. I'll take his word for it. But he does look relatively composed in this thing that they interview him. And the reason why I'm even bringing it up and how it ties to Biden, there is a scene in the movie where he's describing that at some point in his life he OD'd and he needed to be taken to the hospital. And he's explaining that he tried to walk, and he's like, I got up, I tried to walk. And he's saying something along the lines of, if you would have looked at me, I would have looked like I was Joe Bidening, and he's showing like how he can barely walk. And he's not saying that in order to make a joke. Do you get what I mean? He's not saying it in order to like be funny that moment. He's honestly telling you the story and trying to explain to you so you understand the visual of what he looked like. And him ODing and not being able to walk, the best way he could explain it to you was that he was walking like Joe Biden. And when you're watching the movie, you're not even especially like laughing or anything. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we get what you're saying. And there's something about that it's so clear what he means that really highlights what a charade that whole thing was. That for a number of years, that guy was barely functioning. This whole idea that they had him run again and do the whole thing with Kamala, and now I guess I kind of sound like that Stephen Smith guy. And they all played that charade until suddenly they didn't, including Clooney and all those other people. They knew.
Sure.
They knew. Well, what a bunch of weirdos. They all pretended and whatever. It was all some stupid game. And I don't know why. Because maybe Charlie Sheen doesn't really think a lot about what he's saying, I found that scene rather interesting. I don't know if there's a way to find it. I don't have a clip of it. But I thought it was somewhat interesting that he kind of brought up Joe Biden as a reference for what it looks like when he OD'd.
Oh, jeez. When did this come out? What was the release date for this?
This is now in the past, like maybe it came out like 5 days ago or something like that. It's on Netflix.
Okay. I thought you were saying it was something that was.
No, this came out like in the past 5 days.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't even know
check
about it. I didn't know about it. It wasn't on the top of my to-do list. I heard from a few people that if you start watching it, you can't stop. And I do admit, I mean, you get, this crazy picture of a lot of different things. I would even give it more than a 71% or whatever they gave here on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's interesting. It's a type of
Yeah.
documentary where a guy is talking. It's hard to grade something like that. But you know what? As far as entertainment value goes, or whatever it goes, I wasn't bored. You know what I mean? Charlie Sheen is telling you all the crazy stuff that he does, and really crazy stuff, and he's just talking about it. And you're seeing a lot of footage and seeing a lot of things, and he's really kind of putting it all into context. And he's not trying to sugarcoat it or anything and be like, "Oh, like I'm so wonderful. I did everything wonderful." It's mainly that you kind of look at him and you know, you think to yourself, how can a guy have so much and still be kind of such a dum dum in a way? The other thing that's
Mhm.
interesting about this movie is that I hadn't realized how much Hollywood is like full of these kind of nepo babies. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but he's explaining in the movie, oh, I was like in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. There's this other Jennifer Grey recommended me, and then Matthew Broderick was there, and then he's like, they're interviewing Sean Penn, and they're talking about this and talking about that. Every single person that you see here that you've seen in like classic kind of 80s movies or whatever, every single one of those people were like the sons of a famous actor or famous director, or they like their parents were a famous actor and actress and director. I don't think that there was one person in this man's orbit that wasn't like that. And also so many stars that we grew up with, I hadn't realized that so many of them were like, handed down, you know.
Oh,
It's
no,
nothing personal.
absolutely, yeah.
It's nothing personal. I'm not upset that they got it. Maybe they grew up in a house that really encouraged it, and maybe they were good actors. But considering that how from Hollywood we hear all these lectures about quote unquote privilege, and when I see how many actors actually from an entire generation, including some that then lecture us and talk about stupid crap, they themselves were quote unquote privileged just by the fact that they, you know, had the parents and all that other stuff. The only guy that spoke in this documentary for a little bit that was not, didn't come from this kind of privilege or whatever was Chris Tucker, who had like, briefly interviewed in a few spots.
Yeah.
But and there was one friend of his that grew up with him, but I mean I don't know what his friend did or what his father did or whatever, but there was one friend that kind of grew up with him that wasn't in the whole acting thing and wasn't into all the partying or whatever it is. But generally speaking, all these people that are interviewed, they all like had their careers kind of paved for them. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredibly common and has been for several generations now. It's, yes, there are new people who break in, but it's surprising how many of them are yeah, just, they got in because they're the daughter of this producer or the son of this director or, the nephew of this other actor or whatever. Yeah, that's how
Like
they get into the industry.
Amelia Vidila says Charlie burned all of his bridges. So that's possible. But
Yeah.
I will say I didn't know that Sean Penn was like a nepo baby. I didn't know that about Matthew Broderick. Didn't know that about Jennifer Grey. I once met Jennifer Grey actually, and she seemed really nice, I guess. She did seem kind of nice. But
Original nose or
no, I had
second
met her
nose?
when she,
Okay, after. Okay.
this was in more recent years I met
Ah,
her.
I see, yeah.
It was the strangest place for me to meet her, but I can't talk more about that. In
Yeah.
any case,
I mean, it's funny 'cause, the truth is she's still a very attractive woman, and in fact, she's aged rather nicely, I think, but
she
the Yeah, go
looked
ahead.
fine. She looked
Yeah,
fine, yeah.
what I was saying is that she had she famously had the nose job and then lost all her work because she was known for the look that she had before,
I mean, there's nothing you can
and
do.
it's so strange.
That's
Yeah.
how people know her. If you
Yeah.
get famous for a certain type of look, you can't
Mhm.
really change it.
Yeah.
Uh, in some cases, maybe you can, but in that case, you can't. You couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't work. It didn't she was no longer there was a uniqueness and a character to her face, and then it would just sort of disappeared.
Ferris. So yeah, I met her. I think she's kind of probably like very active in weird politics and stuff, and it's stuff
She
that
is, yes.
probably not my thing, whatever it is. But just on a one-to-one like brief conversation that I had with her, she at least her energy seemed pleasant. Uh, she didn't look bad. I mean, I don't know if that helped the energy. maybe that got a better reception for me. You know what I'm saying? But who knows? Anyhow, so this movie I thought was funny. It's not political in any way except for that one sentence, and I just kind of I sort of thought to myself, man, this it really says something that, like, if in pop culture everybody knows this, it shows what a hoax that whole thing was. They all said that he was sharp as a tack. They knew he wasn't sharp as a tack.
Mhm. Yeah, they knew. They knew.
So,
I guess this coming out explains why Charlie was on with Joe Rogan the other day. So
he must have had to have promote this any way that he can,
Yeah.
and he did that. I also suspect because he's wasted so much of his money over
Mhm.
I don't know how many years. I assume that Netflix must have paid him a pretty penny for this documentary. Netflix are known for paying money. If they offered him like $10 to $20 million or whatever it was, I'm sure that he that's probably why he agreed to do it.
Yep.
Interestingly, Martin Sheen doesn't appear. He appears in archival footage, but he doesn't appear himself as in interviews, and neither does Emilio Estevez. They don't appear, but I don't think he pissed them off by making the movie, but they're not in it. It feels like they don't want anything to do with this.
Did Joe Estevez appear anywhere in the film?
No, there's Ramon Estevez, which is
Oh, okay.
another brother, and like I said, I saw Sean Penn there, Chris Tucker a little bit. I'm trying to think,
Sorry, Joe Estevez. You know who Joe Estevez is, right?
Remind me.
Okay, so he's his uncle. He's Martin Sheen's brother,
Oh,
and
okay.
he's well known for being a terrible actor who only appears in B movies and worse.
I see.
And so
Amelia
he's been
Bedelia.
in he's been in like 3 or 4 movies that have ended up on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I see. Amelia Bedelia says he's got 5 kids to support. Yeah, and that's also why I think that 2 of his wives appear in this. You have like not the first one because she doesn't have kids with him. Denise Richards appears a lot. I actually kind of ended up feeling a little bit bad for Denise Richards
Yeah.
watching this movie for a few different reasons. One, it feels like I don't know how to say this in a way that doesn't make me sound like a douche. I don't know if to say that she's had maybe surgeries done or something. She obviously she would not look today like she did when she was in her 20s, which was pretty great. 20s, 30s, she looked I don't think anybody could argue that she didn't look nice during that
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
She looks like life has taken a bit of a toll on her. It's not like you watch her and you're like, "Oh, she's gross," but I'm saying like, man, does she look like she I just don't know how else to explain it. That like the years took a bit of a toll on her. It also
Indeed.
has this other Brooke Mueller, whatever her name is, um, his third wife that he also has kids with. She's also in this. I assume that because he has 5 kids, these ladies had an interest in appearing here. Maybe when he pitched this movie or however this thing was put together, you needed all these people here. Interestingly, John Cryer appears in it. Rumor has it that he and Charlie didn't even talk before this. They just filmed that John Cryer talking, and they're still not really buddy buddy. I thought his parts were pretty fair. I don't know. It is very interesting because we've seen it all happen, kind of play out in the media years ago. But I think that watching this movie gives a lot of context into how things happened and why. And if you kind of zoom out and you look at sort of the modern era of the celebrity and what happened with Charlie Sheen, it was sort of an early version of a lot of stuff we see today because social media was just kind of growing then. You know what I mean? It was growing, and the fact that like people saw this kind of train wreck meltdown publicly and on social media, it was something early that I don't think we had seen quite in the same way at that time.
Mhm. Yeah.
But that is that. So
I was not somebody who was watching 2.5 Men at the time. I'm not somebody who really cares about sitcoms on TV, but I knew some people who were watching it at the time and were like, "Oh my god!" Like literally, like you can see it on the screen. Like he's wasted all the time. And of course that was what ended up getting him getting him kicked off the show, and yeah, breaking down all the relationships with all the people that were on there, John Cryer and so on. And so yeah, that was whew, very very public, just total collapse underneath the weight of all of his different substance abuse issues. So
Amelia
it's,
the Dude.
genuinely, it is good to see. I hope genuinely he has recovered. He's clean. He's, able to look back on that time and recognize the harm that he did to others, the harm he did to himself, and that he's trying to, make good on top of that. So, uh, yeah, good for Charlie Sheen, you know. And
So
especially, when he was on Rogan, the other day, he was on Rogan when they found out about Charlie Kirk. They were there together, and you saw their reactions, and of course, Joe Rogan's just stunned, and Charlie Sheen is like, that's awful, and says it right after what everyone was thinking. Yeah, killed for having a different opinion than someone else, you know? And, he was really honest and straightforward about it. It's like, wow, wasn't expecting that kind of, clarity from Charlie Sheen, but there it is.
because he's sort of a guy that just says whatever he wants and doesn't really
Yeah.
care, then maybe you'd get that kind of honesty in him. And yeah, I mean, people forget this, but initially, when he started his career, when he was in movies like Wall Street and Platoon, he had a really bright career ahead of him. You just kind of flushed it down the toilet. Then he kept getting second chances and third chances, and that 2.5 Men was just such a good setup for him, and he somehow messed that up as well.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's an interesting story, and just wanted to throw out there that I watched it. What else do we have on the docket today?
Let's see, you mentioned Tulsa King season 3. I have not seen this yet. So,
Okay.
interesting. My subscription to Paramount lapsed, and I actually set it back up today, but I haven't gotten a chance to watch this week's new episode.
That's okay. I'm not even. I don't think it's going to be like any kind of major spoilers because the thing is, this this whole show basically is just we're catching up. I feel like it's been a minute. I don't remember when the last time I watched an episode was. When did season 2 end? It wasn't a million years ago, but it was some time ago. So this one just kind of picks up where that other one left off. It has those same type of people. There's this kind of agreement that he made with this other guy that he doesn't really like, and they kind of found a way to make it work. And right now they're kind of off to a rocky start. And in addition to that, there's also a bit of a fallout that certain people on his crew are not so happy working with this team. And in addition to that, there's also a situation where, back in New York, I think there's still some other guy that wants a piece of his action. Uh, and there's also some other business he has his eye on in like Tulsa itself that he's trying to get in on, and that also is sort of like causing additional problems. But the bottom line is that nothing really revolutionary happens in this episode. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. There's nothing spectacular that happens. It's not suddenly like some big twist that you're sitting on the edge of your seat. But you know what? The show itself is pleasant, and I still enjoyed watching the episode. I didn't suffer watching it. I do hope that, as the episodes go forward, I hope that it kind of picks up a bit and there's a interesting story developing. I'm certainly interested in seeing where it goes, but there's nothing groundbreaking about this episode. It's like if you like the series and you know what you've signed up for, you're going to get that.
Yeah, just kind of getting things back up to speed. So that's good. Yeah, I greatly enjoyed the first 2 seasons of this show, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I was actually thinking just on Sunday. I was like, "Hey, need to go take a look at that." And like, "Oh, look at that. Subscription lapsed. Crap." And just didn't have time to take care of it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get back and watch that first episode. Yeah, it's been the last episode came out last November. It doesn't seem like it's been nearly a year since then, but yeah. So at the very least, I'll say this, I still prefer when these shows are producing 22 episodes a year and we got, 6 months worth of content, you know, out of these shows every single year. Now we get 2 months worth at best, usually, maybe 2.5 months worth of content. And
Right.
and then we have to wait, 9 months before we see anything else. It's frustrating, but it's where we are with the streaming world today. But I'm glad that they're sticking to their production schedule. We're not getting one of these shows where we're only getting something every 18 months to 2 years, like
Yeah.
the
I have to ask
those shows
quickly,
are
Professor.
frustrating.
I have to ask you, who's CS?
CS.
CS takes over for Kimmel would be a smash. Gutfeld wasn't bad with CS. Who? I feel like again that meme.
Charlie Sheen?
Oh, Charlie
Is that who
Sheen.
he's saying?
Okay, I got it. You know what? I probably would prefer to watch Charlie Sheen talking than Jimmy Kimmel. I'll
I think
give
I
you
would
that.
too.
But sorry, yeah, these seasons are taking way too long sometimes. I agree, but I think that the first season was still the best. The second one wasn't as good as the first. I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't good
No.
as the first. And I wonder how this one's going to play out.
Yeah, I think it had a little bit of that second season, struggle where they're trying to figure out, okay, they had this really great idea for the first season, and now, okay, so how do we continue that story? How do we move into other things? So, looking at the chat, we got a couple other things we can talk about too, Price. We have the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer that dropped, and also, did you watch the Alien Earth finale?
I've just skipped that whole. I think I watched the first episode. I tried
Oh,
watching
okay,
it.
so you haven't come back to it yet. Yeah.
I dozed off in the first episode, and I think that I never actually went back to look at it. I know by what people are telling it's done, but you know what? Why don't you give us a review of that final Alien Earth thing if you
Oh
watched it?
boy, the last episode of Alien Earth. Gosh, I did watch it, unfortunately.
You can
This
say whatever
whole
you want because
show,
I couldn't care less about this show. You
yeah,
could
this
say whatever
whole
you want.
show has just been a comedy of errors. Every single character is the absolute stupidest version of themselves. We get this ridiculous setup that now, oh, we're going to take kids and we're going to put them into these android things and we're going to transfer their intelligence over into them. And then there's the spaceship that crashes and smashes up a city, which in reality, if it was really a totally uncontrolled reentry of a ship, it would have hit the ground and caused mess. I mean, the whole damn city would have been obliterated. But yeah, it smashes, and gets jammed up in a couple of buildings. And then all of these different aliens that they've managed to collect somehow. We don't understand how they managed to collect all of these things without getting themselves killed, because everyone on the ship manages to instantly get themselves killed, on their way back. It's ridiculous. They're not taking any precautions or anything. The whole show rests on the fact that the people in this ship that were traveling back with all these alien specimens are just massively dumb. They're stupider than bugs that can manage to outthink them. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're not taking any precautions, or the precautions they are taking are clearly not anywhere close to being enough to actually keep the crew safe, and so everything goes to hell. And then, of course, for some reason, we have these extremely expensive, prototype hybrid android things that they've put human, memories into into a droid, and they send them on a mission, and she goes on the main character, Wendy, she goes on her mission to go because her brother is there. And what weapons does she take with her? She takes the arm off of a paper cutter. That's it.
How does
It's
this have a 95%? I mean, I know the answer to
it's
this.
idiocy. It's idiocy is what
There's
it
some
is.
kind of woke thing that it's peddling. Why is it giving it 95%? I
Oh,
just
a
don't.
woke thing that they're peddling. You mean putting children into adult bodies and then bringing up weird sexual things with them
Ah,
occasionally? Yeah.
there
Yeah,
has to be a
anyway.
reason. But who gave it a 70? I don't even trust their audience scores anymore. I haven't met
Yeah,
one person that had
this
anything good to say about this show. But sorry, go on.
this is a show that is made for the TikTok generation, that's made for people who are not actually watching the show. They are sitting there, they are playing with their phones, they are reading TikTok and looking at social media the whole time this show is on. And so we get these incredibly dumb characters, these kids who are in adult bodies now, who are still, but they're still acting like kids, but yet they sent them into this incredibly dangerous situation. We have them then recover a whole bunch of these alien, you know, samples, these different uh different aliens that were brought back by this ship, and then they bring them back to this island. And once again, everyone who's handling these things is massively stupid, and so they're frequently breaking out and killing people and whatever. And then the dumbest of all of the dumb things happens is that they birth a new xenomorph by through an
Okay.
experiment to try and figure out how the, you know, what's the life cycle look like and everything. So they birth this new xenomorph, and the main character, Wendy, is able to communicate with it like it was her pet dog. And in fact, they show it that she can speak its language. She makes all sorts of clicky noises and stuff and talks to the xenomorph. And in this last episode, even talks to her my pet Xeno, talks to it through walls. Like makes the clicky noises, and somehow she's inside and it's outside through, you know, many different rooms and feet of concrete. She's communicating with it with the clicks and noises and stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous. So she
This
has
sounds
this.
awful.
Oh, it's massively stupid. So every single time, everyone is just like I said, just the dumbest versions of themselves. They're making all of these dumb mistakes after, you know, one person after another is getting killed by these aliens, the different alien specimens they brought back, and they're never like taking enough precautions to keep themselves safe. In the end, there's a whole thing about where they're trying to there's the different companies going back and forth over who has the property, who's does the property of these specimens belong to. Does it belong to this prodigy company that's run by this you know, young dumbass, or does it belong to the Utani corporation? And so they're having their little corporate battle over who gets what. One of the guys on the Utani side convinces them to you know, to let one of the face huggers go so it can infect somebody, so that they can sneak the face hugger, you know, the infected guy out, and then they can collect the xenomorph that way. And of course, that all goes to hell because they're they don't understand the timing of, like, once it's infected, how long does it take before the chest burster comes out and stuff, so that all goes to hell. It's just the whole thing, it's just there's this back and forth of massive stupidity. Nobody is thinking strategically, nobody's thinking tactically about what they're doing. They all just walk into situations expecting things to happen their way, not considering you know, any other factors, anything else that's going on in their world. It's incredibly stupid, And then in the end, what we get is, well, we find out that, oh, well, what the Prodigy people wanted to do was, the boy genius, he wanted to create this sort of new master race, by putting, a human mind into an immortal body, and guess what? Now they took over, and everyone else loses. And
It
she still has her my pet xenomorph at the end.
ugh.
It's so dumb. It is so incredibly stupid. We also have the fact that if you go back and watch the movies, Bryce, especially go back and watch Aliens, you saw the machine guns that they were using tearing up xenomorphs left and right. They were not some sort of bulletproof,
Right.
indestructible killing machines. If you
Of
had a
course.
machine gun and you were shooting them up, yeah, I mean, you were in danger because they would have, their blood was spraying everywhere, there's acid blood, but you could kill a xenomorph with machine gun shots. There are literally shots in this show where you see bullets glance off of an alien. It
And do the xenomorphs themselves look good or they look crappy too?
They look awful. They look absolutely awful. Every one of them that are in this show, the costuming, the way that they did I mean, granted they did them mostly with practical effects. I'm glad they did, but they just look cheap. They
I
do
like
not look good, especially when, the reason that part of the reason that xenomorph in Alien and then in Aliens as well, but part of the reason that they look so good was they were hiding them. They were in the dark, right? You only saw little glances of light, coming over their glossy sort of carapace, and you saw the dripping fangs and everything when when there was about to be a kill. You saw very little of them. In this, you are constantly seeing the xenomorphs in bright sunlight, and they look ridiculous. It's just absurd. And the show, the story is as dumb as it gets. All of the characters are idiots, and I feel dumber for having watched this show. I really do.
I mean, I'm curious to see how bad it is, but I just didn't have enough spare time to waste on it. You know what I mean? I know it's bad and maybe it would crack me up about how bad it is, but I didn't have time.
There's only so much time for hate watching, right?
Right, right. I mean, listen, sometimes I have more time for it. I didn't have it this time. But I did think
Oh,
there were some interesting comments. Phantom Monk said a great IP lit on fire by idiots. I could
no
have probably
question.
wrote something better. Caleb Levine says, what could possibly go wrong? The previous one was Whalem 03, by the way. And then E. Clay Thomason says, one xenomorph can take out an entire island of elite soldiers. Ridiculous. So yeah, I think that everybody's pretty much agreeing with you here. It seems
Yeah.
like it was awful. I put on, because there was one night I'm like, I have to see what this is. I put on the first episode. I dozed off somewhere in the middle of it. There was nothing in that episode that really captured me. And maybe if I would have heard from everybody, hey, this is the best thing ever, I would have made time to continue to watch it. But people were just saying, this is terrible. So I just said, I'll get to it. I'll try to get to it. But, then another week went by and another week went by. And I'm like, what am I going to spend all this time watching something that's crap?
Of course, yeah.
So it's,
I was gonna say another someone radio streamer. Yeah, it just makes me wonder if there's any franchise they won't ruin. Well, they're gonna ruin Predator next. We got Predator Badlands coming, which looks dreadful. So just be prepared for that. Um, I don't know that it's gonna be as bad as I don't think it's gonna be as bad as this, but it's gonna be pretty bad. It's gonna be some girl power nonsense. And then we've got the Predator that somehow has a side shave. Even though
that
those
looks
tentacles,
awful.
the
That looks
stupid
so
tentacles,
awful.
they're not hair. You can't.
That thing is
Of
going to be a
course,
disaster.
we do have a certain portion of the population who's just totally okay with cutting off healthy body parts. Maybe that's part of it, right? Is shaving off the little head tentacles on the sides. just like getting just like dyeing your hair purple. It's kind of you're letting everyone know your ideological bent by showing them your
Oh, wait, I
your
found,
colors.
somebody gave us a super chat.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know when this happened.
Oh, it looks like there was one just here just a few minutes ago.
Okay. So I'm gonna share that. Let me try to find it. But thank you for putting up with this show and watching it, Professor, because
It was one of those things where like I kind of just got into it and I went far enough into it that I figured, what the hell? I guess I'll finish it kind of a thing.
so Monty Montgomery, I
Mhm.
believe that is. Let me see it just to make sure that I said it correctly. I'm not used to having it kind of. Let's see.
Cut it off like that. Yeah, it's Monty Montgomery.
Monty Montgomery. Okay. So basically, he's saying Tulsa King season 1 was great. They moved production from Tulsa to Atlanta, and it's not the same. Ruined my viewing experience. That may be part of it. I didn't. I'm trying to think to myself how noticeable it was. I wasn't sure. All I know is that the first season, everything is just working for me in that season. It's like pretty much every episode, I'm laughing where I need to laugh, and it's suspense and it's interesting. I really feel like the first season was like a kind of like a home run. I didn't suffer watching the second season. It just wasn't as good as the first one, and I don't know. I also thought that they kind of quickly got rid of that female cop that he was interested in the first one.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting. I like the dynamic between them, and somehow maybe there was no choice in order to move the plot forward. They had to kind of just get rid of her, but I kind of liked her. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah. Totally.
I don't have anything against the actress that now is with him. It's a known actress. I forgot her name. Dana Delaney or something, whatever her name is. Don't have any. She's a good actress. I don't have any issue with her, but I just thought that somehow the chemistry between Stallone and that other actress in the first season, there was something funny about it, and I kind of missed that interaction. I don't know why.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just the fact that she's a cop and she's an FBI agent, whatever it was funny. Maybe they couldn't sustain that idea. Maybe they couldn't sustain that storyline. But I do feel like the interaction between her and him was funny. Just putting that out there.
No, I thought that the dynamic between those two characters worked really well. And yeah, I think maybe that might be it. That there was just only so far that they could carry that premise, right? Until there's well, as soon as someone finds out, she's sleeping with someone in the mafia, like, oh yeah, it's all just gonna fall apart at at some point. So I think there might have been an element of that, just that uh it was gonna come to an end pretty quickly at some point, and I think that uh, I'm fine with the way they handled it. You're right. I think the dynamic between the two of them did work.
There was something that I wanted to see more of when it came to those two, and I feel like we kind of lost that. Radio Streamer says, Price, I didn't suffer watching the first season, one of the least inspiring things you could hear about a series. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't really give out a lot of, you know,
Yeah.
Stallone does well with a female actress.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, somebody wrote here that they needed, E. Clay Thomason says they had to get rid of her so that he could hook up with the horse lady. Uh, yes,
Yeah.
there's a lady with the horses, and they already introduced her in the first season, so it seemed like
They did. They did. Yeah.
maybe they were building this thing, and there was even a moment that he kind of went out on a date with her, but then the other one was like it was kind of a strange situation. But I don't know. I also thought for some reason think that the ending of season 1 had a reshoot. I feel like there's something that happens, and then like he's celebrating with his crew, and he sort of, I hope it's not I don't want to do spoilers. Something happens at the very end of the first season, and I can't help but think that maybe that was something that was added late in the game.
Could be. Yeah.
the actress, I think, that plays like, Stacy or whatever her name was, her hair kind of looks different. Something seems off about that final scene. Like they kind of said, "Oh, let's do this now," and then the way the season starts and even that whole thing resolves itself is kind of strange. One has to wonder what they were doing there. I am
Yeah,
curious.
maybe there was they had a different intended ending for that early on as they were writing the season, or they decided to change something at the last minute. Yeah.
I also think that I'm not sure that they realized how it'll come out, maybe how successful it would be. Maybe they weren't 100% sure. And then maybe when they saw what had happened, that's when things started happening. And I wonder if that is what led to the feud of sorts between Taylor Sheridan and Terrence Winter, who were showrunners, because then Terrence Winter, after that first season, said, "I'm not coming back," but then Stallone convinced him. So even though he was no longer the showrunner, he did writing for the show. And then this season, Terrence Winter isn't even there. But apparently Stallone, has already insisted that he comes back for season 4. And I keep wondering, I think I've told you before, I wonder if this third season without Terrence Winter writing, if Stallone felt there was like a dip in quality. Because if this was so great, why wouldn't he keep the guy that he has now? Why would he insist that they bring back Terrence Winter?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he didn't have the right feel. Maybe he's been just, wanting him to come back no matter what, and just is still insistent on that. I don't know. But yeah.
Istafogos has a quality comment for us. Dana Delaney used to be super hot. She banged Liam Neeson. She was the one who told everyone how huge his cock
Oh,
was.
yes.
That was her? I had no idea.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Now we know why she's good with horses.
Oh, no.
I don't think she is. It's not Debbie Delaney. It's Dana Delaney. She seems all right. She
Oh.
seems like an all right actress. I don't really know. I'm trying to think of where I saw her maybe earlier, what movies or where I've seen her, and she seems familiar enough, but I don't really know. I got nothing against the actress. I felt that like somehow the vibe and the chemistry was better with the previous lady. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I thought the previous lady, I could be wrong. Is it possible that the previous lady, this is so weird. I'm probably wrong. Is it possible that the previous lady is somehow dating Larry David or dated Larry David? Could I be wrong on this?
Oh, I do not remember.
What was her name? Now I have to check this.
Yeah.
Tulsa King. I'm probably mistaken. Andrea Savage. That was her name.
Yeah.
Andrea Savage. Let me check right now. It says her spouse is Jeremy Plager. Why did I think that she had? Well, she was on. She was on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
This is gonna bother me now. It seems unlikely, but Larry David is very wealthy. I have to check this now.
All I'm seeing was a guest appearance that she had on Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's all I'm seeing. I'm not really finding anything about a relationship.
I wonder. I thought that there was. Maybe it wasn't her. I could be just confused because she was in that Curb Your Enthusiasm and I saw her on there. But for some reason, I thought that I guess it wasn't her. There was somebody else, a lady that maybe was a guest on the show, and I guess he went out with her, but I don't think that's her then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't know.
I guess I made a mistake then. It's a rare error on my end. Usually
A rare miss for a price of reason.
Right, it's true. And you know what? If I make a mistake, I am very, happy to admit that I made a mistake. So it happens sometimes. In any case,
I was looking here at Dana Delaney, and I realized, holy cow, I did not realize that she was in China Beach. That was kind of her big breakout. I was not a huge follower of that show, but so I had some family that was really into China Beach,
remind
and
me
I
what
just thought
happens on China Beach. I feel like I'm blanking out on that one.
so China Beach is a story about it's kind of like a MASH type of thing, but it's during the Vietnam War in a field hospital. It's a drama though. It's a historic drama,
Did she at least
and
look good in this drama?
she did. Yeah, yeah.
I see. Oh, they were trying to do like a
She
mash. I get it.
yeah, she was the lead as Colleen McMurphy. It's sort of the story of a nurse working in a field hospital during
Let's see.
Vietnam. So and yeah, I knew some family that was pretty into
I
the show.
honestly, I don't love those type of things. I also am a rare
I
person.
don't either.
I didn't love MASH even, and I'll tell you why.
Same here.
The thing is that some people love watching like war stuff. They love it when there's like a war, when there's Vietnam, when there's a comedy in war and all this stuff. Generally speaking, especially if it's trying to go for like real straight up war and like a kind of angle on it, I just don't love those things. It's not what makes me like happy. I don't really know how to explain it. For me, those type of things are more of a bummer. So yeah, I watch things that are important to watch, like obviously it's not like Apocalypse Now or whatever it is, but I'm saying like I'm not one of those people that anytime there's a movie with like soldiers in a war, I'm like already on top of it. It's actually the opposite. I usually steer away from those unless it's something that involves like strange science fiction or like time travel or something like that. You know what I mean? If there's something where that you're watching some nonsense, then I'm okay with it. But if it takes itself too seriously, especially the ones that they're like, we're gonna make it seem like you're on the battlefield, I really that kind of depresses me personally.
Hmm.
It's okay though. I mean, it's fine. Some people like that genre, and that's totally cool. People like really liked MASH. I was Monty Montgomery says you're thinking of Rebecca Kreskoff. She was in the series Hung and was on Curb. Ah, okay. And she dated Larry David, maybe. Yeah, I thought there was something like that. First girl boss. That's funny.
Oh, and that's interesting. Isfowos was saying that Dana Delaney also was the voice of Lois Lane in a bunch of the DC animated films.
I see. Well, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer.
Oh boy, have you seen this already?
I watched it quickly, but I didn't pay a ton of attention. It just kind of I barely even remember what I saw in it. It was
Well,
very
there's not much to remember, so that's all right.
it
Yeah,
felt
we can
very
watch this. We can
unmemorable
check
to
it
me.
out.
First of all, I want to tell you that the poster looks terrible in my opinion.
Oh, it looks awful.
It looks like
Absolutely awful.
I later sat with AI and like tried to make posters, and I think that my posters looked cooler than this just by like prompting weird crap in AI. This also kind of looks like AI to me, if you ask me, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think they're clearly trying to make something that has that appearance, that look of the old serials,
Yeah.
Flash Gordon and that kind of thing. So tying that back sort of to the origins of the original Star Wars, I get what they're trying to do. It looks like crap.
Right, and the other thing is that when George Lucas made his posters for whatever he was doing, they didn't look like this. They looked cool, and this
No.
doesn't look cool for me. This looks like a cluttered, crappy, stupid thing. But let's this is the poster.
Yeah.
And now
As
let's see
an intern
trailer.
put that together. It's awful. Oh,
An intern used AI and put it together. And,
yeah, probably.
and didn't do it very well. Let's see what this thing looks like.
Razor Crest is back. for some reason. Oh boy, sewers. Oh, no way.
Impressive.
Even this title looks awful.
No, the title looks dreadful.
Good shot, baby.
Somebody was pointing out that, well, all the shills are like, "Oh, look, it's Babu Frick," which shows that they haven't even watched the series because there's a whole bunch of those aliens around. It doesn't have to be specifically Babu Frick from that, dumbass film.
Yeah,
But
but it's that type of creature. I mean, I
it
think
is that type of creature, but there's a bunch of them around. They were around in the in the series in the 3rd season, so it doesn't necessarily have to be Babu Frick. So it's funny that all the shills like don't even know that there's other
I barely even
characters with
remember that
that
they were in
same.
the 3rd season.
Yeah,
Now
oh,
that you mention it, I'm starting to
they're
remember it.
they're the ones that turn his his friend's robot corpse into a body that he can
Ah,
walk around in.
yes, that stupid thing. The thing is that there's no goodwill left. Uh,
No.
you need like goodwill of fans surrounding a thing like this. This is years too late. It's after a 3rd season that was bad. It looks like a kind of what they do on their Disney Plus platform, but they call it a movie. This at
Yes.
best, if I were them, I would have made this movie for Disney Plus
Disney
and
Plus
said like,
exclusive. Yep.
yeah, Disney Plus exclusive. This is like the ending of the show or whatever you want to call it. And that probably would have been,
Yep.
your
Yeah.
best bet here.
We get they for whatever reason they're like, oh look, it's he's got a Razor Crest ship again. Where'd that come from? Because that was destroyed. He wasn't flying that in the 3rd season.
Right. He
So
had
where
like
did that come
Anakin's.
from? Now we got that back. And then yeah, they got the Babu Frick aliens, and they got all the other stuff. Oh look, he's being little baby Yoda. He's using his force to try and take the thing from from other people. It's just it's bad. It's bad. And there's nothing about this. Just watching the trailer, watching the special effects, the action that they chose to show us in this. There's absolutely nothing about this that is in any way cinematic or exciting
No,
compared
it's just
to what we would have gotten in just seeing the show on Disney Plus.
there's nothing like sometimes you have a situation where when you see it in a movie, you can tell that they've stepped up their game. But that doesn't feel like this at all here. It just feels like he made something for Disney Plus and they're like, well, let's just release it and we'll do a
Yeah.
crappy poster with crappy titles.
Yeah.
Stephen Max says, remember when at whatever fell over? Yeah,
Yeah.
like an Empire
Member?
Strikes Back on Hoth.
Yeah. Yeah.
They tried to
Member?
recreate it. Exactly.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
So yeah, the trailer overall, I think, is a total miss. It does not help that half of the Star Wars audience has just left. They don't care anymore. It does not help that this quality wise doesn't even look as good as some of the stuff that they've done on the show on streaming. Right?
You're
It's
you're
just
right.
not
Yeah.
that impressive. And it also doesn't help that a lot of people are going to say, isn't that a TV show? Why do I want to see it in the theater? right? They're not going to care. They know it's going to be on Disney Plus, you know, 6 weeks later or something. So they're not going to bother. It's this movie is not going to do big numbers. It's going to be kind of a bomb. I was actually chatting I was in the chat with Six the other day. We were going back and forth, and I was saying I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and say around 400. She was saying 350, right? I was like, I think it might do a little bit better than that, just because it will be a family friendly, film that people will be able to go see. They don't need to worry about having nasty stuff in it. I don't think it's going to be G. It's probably going to be PG. I don't think it'll push PG-13, but
I
yeah,
agree
it's
with Stephen
yeah.
Mack. He says even the puppetry is bad. I feel like some
No,
of
it doesn't look good at all.
in season 1, I felt like the puppetry was better.
Yeah. They keep pushing it further and further, and it just gets more comically bad when they do. In the first season, it was very simple what they were trying to do with that puppet. Now they got the freaking puppet flipping all over the place, and like they did in the third season, is he's jumping, flipping all over the place like he's Yoda from Attack of the Clones. It's awful. And just overall, this just not look good. It does not look interesting. It's not going to bring in a big audience. And Star Wars, Disney Star Wars is dead. It's dead. No one cares anymore.
No, nobody does. Let's see for a second. We have these pictures with a Babu Frick and whatever. There's really, I don't even see like a villain here. I don't see anything interesting. Think usually when you have a movie like a Star Wars, you see a poster that looks epic and interesting, and then you have a trailer that at least builds some suspense. Is there like an enemy of some? Is there a threat? Is there something at stake? What are we even looking at here?
Well,
It's
we
just-
see at one point there's a hut that we see there that's supposed to be the same hut from Clone Wars.
Ugh.
The little baby hut that was
Oh,
called
yeah, I know which
Stinky.
one you mean. I
Yeah,
know which one you mean. But
that's supposed to be him. And so you see him in like an arena, and he's huge and
But again,
muscly and
no
stuff.
tension. It's not that I'm thinking, oh, there's a
No.
real threat here. It's just some guy in an arena. Yeah, I
Yep.
saw him. Don't know what
Yeah.
I think of it, but yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be the antagonist of the piece, but yeah, there's just nothing here that I care for, that I care about. It looks cheap. It looks like an extended episode of a television show. I don't think people are gonna show up for this. Hell, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna show up for this.
I mean, I have to
I
review it, so I probably
Yeah, I
will.
know. That's like the thing. Like, oh yeah, I want to talk about it with Price. I want to talk about it with everybody else. That's the only thing, like pushing me to actually do anything to go see this. Is like so I can talk about it with other people.
So
Otherwise, I couldn't care less. Yeah, it's gonna be on Disney Plus in like 6 weeks after it comes out. It's gonna be on Disney Plus because they're not gonna be able to sell tickets to this disaster.
true. Uh, I actually was pretty early to report this, not the earliest, but pretty early to report this, that stupid movie with Jessica Chastain that called The Savant, where she, as people like to say, is a Karen looking for right-wing extremists that want to do bad
Yeah.
things. I guess this was some kind of far left fever dream, and we were all laughing at this. And
Yeah, this is gonna be a series, not a film. Yeah, this
I
was
thought it
gonna
was a
be
film.
nope, it's an ongoing series. So it has does it have a 10-episode run, I think, that they had planned?
That's
8
even worse.
episode run. Sorry, 8-episode run.
That
Yeah.
is even worse. I thought it was just like a 2-hour movie. This is like an 8-episode thing. That's a disaster. So basically, I guess they said that because of stuff that's happening now, the timing isn't right to release
Yeah.
this.
A
So they're
top
delaying it.
secret investigator who infiltrates internet hate organizations to bring down the nation's most violent men. And of course, all of the hate organizations that she goes after, they're of course right wing, right? No going after, wild, crazy Antifa, nothing. No, they're all right wing crazies. And they talk about even in the trailer, they talk about attacks from extremists and stuff like that. And they're being very, very specific as to what kind of extremists they think that specifically are the threat. And
Caleb
it
Levine
sure as
said, "I
hell
thought
isn't
it was."
Antifa.
Caleb Levine says, "I thought it was a movie too." Yeah, because I thought to myself, "Who's going to make this into a series? Like this looked like something." Wayland03, the commie hacker. This was so stupid. This was just like awful.
Yeah, it's
Stephen Mack, I
she's
think, is the piccolo flute for the Mandalorian. I assume.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't even have the Star Wars music. His whatever, it's fine, that music, I guess. But this thing with Jessica Chastain, even when I looked at the commercial, it was like an overflow. Sorry, I don't have another word to say it, but overflow of woke crap. That whole trailer, and I thought it was a movie. The fact that it's an 8-part series, then they delayed it. How long do you think they're going to delay it for? Is this like an Ironheart situation?
Could be. It might be a while before this makes
It's going to
its
be
premiere.
It's going to be even more dated and stupid whenever they release this. Like, whenever they get around to finally doing this, it's going to be even more embarrassing. I wonder to myself if it really has anything to do with Charlie Kirk, or they must have seen just everybody laughing at it so much that they've decided to hold off on it for now. I can't even tell you.
Yeah. So apparently this is based off an article that was published in Cosmopolitan in 2019, called "Is It Possible to Stop a Mass Shooting Before It Happens?" That's the title of the original article. The idea is that Chastain plays the character Jodie Goodwin, a top secret investigator and veteran who's an employee of the fictional Anti-Hate Alliance, a group that infiltrates online hate groups in an effort to stop large-scale attacks of domestic terrorism. So, yeah.
You want to know something really random? That in 2019, I saw an article in Cosmopolitan that was so stupid. And at the time, I had just started kind of doing a little bit of videos, but it was with a puppet and stuff like that. And I was on a business trip or something. I had to go somewhere. And I had like, it's interesting because Cosmopolitan did an article about Star Wars. And it was right before the rise of Skywalker. And their article was one of the worst articles I've ever seen. It was awful. I haven't looked at it since then. Now, I actually saw this at a supermarket, and I was waiting, and I looked because it had on the cover, they said something about Star Wars, so I guess I looked at it. I'm thinking this is the worst thing ever, so I bought the magazine. I get to my computer, and I'm trying to find the online version, but when I go online, you know what happened?
What?
They either deleted it from their site or they never even put it there. Meaning all of the stuff, like the main stuff in that magazine from that issue, you could have found it online on their online version, but not that thing, not that article, which was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen. Now, because I was going on a business trip, I actually reached out to a few people and asked them if they maybe could do a video about it. I don't want to, I don't. Is it bad to say who it was or not bad? I don't know.
No.
Do you think it's after all, like it's been 6 years? I don't think anybody cares at this point. Should I
No.
say it?
Go ahead.
I sent it to like at least one of the people was like drunk 3PO, and he sent me back like he wrote LOL. And I couldn't understand what that means. I'm like, do you want to do a video about it? And then I sent it to a few other people and I don't know, they didn't jump on it. And I was so disappointed because I couldn't get around to make a video about it. And then just time went by and nobody ever saw this article. So I'm thinking now, if everybody here is up for this, do you want to see the Cosmopolitan article about Star Wars? The one that they deleted from their website?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to find it now. Tell a joke. Let me find this.
Oh, I was looking further. There's people who are very upset that Apple has decided to delay the Savant because they here's an article from Variety. It says, having watched the 8-episode series for review, which was set to be under embargo until September 25th, it's clear that the Savant is precisely the type of show America needs right now. It looks at a sector of white male individuals who believe that America belongs to them, fueled by hate, bigotry, xenophobia, and misogyny. They talk cruelly and candidly online about enacting harm and violence toward individuals or others who they feel are unworthy of being in their country. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very strange.
Nowhere in this show does it mention Donald Trump's name, and other than depicting white nationalists in a negative light, The Savant is a straightforward, non-controversial character study and a well-paced thriller about one woman trying to stop domestic terrorism. Oh, I guarantee it doesn't mention Donald Trump, but there's definitely going to be a Trump stand-in. And here's what I bet too: there's probably a Charlie Kirk stand-in in here somewhere.
I
Which
have a
is the
feeling that
reason
they're
that
going to
they've
now
taken it
start
down.
reorganizing, reshooting, whatever it is that they have to do here. I feel like this is more, there's more to it. It almost feels like the South Park thing. I feel like there's more to it and we don't know. But I want to tell everybody here that's watching, I'm about to uncover a deleted article from Cosmopolitan that I had the hard copy of, that nobody has ever shared it before. It's the first time that anybody's seen it. It's from 2019. It's a Star Wars article. Are you ready?
An expose from Price of Reason.
It's an expose because I gave it there, just so you know. Drunk 3PO is one person, and I feel okay saying that because he responded. It was just a silly response. There were other people that I'm like, come on, like I can't do this. You should do it. And everybody kind of didn't take it seriously. It really made me sad. So now years later, I'm finally going to do this at middle of the night on the Night Owl. I'm doing it now. Let me try to put this here. Are you ready, Professor?
Do it.
Okay. So it's called the Star Wars Explainer, a millennial woman's Star Wars Explainer.
Oh my God.
And this was deleted, okay? So this explains to ladies what this is supposed to be. And let's just try to go through this. I hope everybody's with me. I don't know if people are going to like this or not, but this is actually a deleted article from Cosmopolitan in 2019, a millennials woman's Star Wars explainer. So then they say, like, maybe you give a fuck, but in all likelihood, you're just as, wait, isn't this movie set before the last one as the rest of us? Allow Me to Help by Elizabeth Entenmann. And you know what's funny? Maybe this is also part of the reason this was deleted, although I don't know, is that how hard Kathleen Kennedy wanted this to be a female brand, like for women. And you have a lady sitting here writing for Cosmopolitan thinking, this is some dumb crap that women don't care about. I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that it was deleted. Do you get what I'm saying, Professor?
Could be.
Because I have to wonder. I mean, this is just some stupid article. Why would it be deleted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. So then, so now let's see. It starts here. Now this is the perfect, actually exciting. No one is too cool for it. Time to jump into the Star Wars convo. You've been ignoring all these years. The final-ish movie, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, is out December 20th and stars Adam Driver as a tall, terrifying villain. Don't be scared. He'll kill you softly. Here's what to know. This is like the brain cells are dying, I think, just reading this. There are space fantasies, plain and simple. Reminder, the Game of Thrones you love is a fantasy too. Most of the main players are humans, but there are also tons of aliens. Some are adorbs, some are funny, some will kill you. This is the dumbest person that ever wrote on Star Wars ever. This is like embarrassing. The plot of all 9 movies is Good versus evil. Even if you fall asleep, you can still follow along. No, that's actually not what happens in the Kathleen Kennedy trilogy. It was good and evil back in the Lucas era. It's not good and evil in the Kennedy era because they
No.
wanted to do sort of like blur the lines between good and evil so they could influence a young generation of woke weirdos to hate its own country and do all this other stuff. But I won't get into that
Yep.
now. Notice how all along, let me see, can you see this? People are probably either falling asleep or I don't know what they're thinking. But this is the deleted article. First time ever. First time ever. You can thank Drunk 3PO that didn't want to do a video about this. Notice how all the Star Wars titles start with episode. You should watch episode 4 first. That was the first of the original films. Episode 4 to 6, which came out in the 70s and 80s. They
Well, I
were
mean,
huge.
that at least that's based, right? That's the
I
way to
guess
watch them.
so. I guess so. They were huge, massive hits. Next, watch the prequel movies 1 to 3, and finally the sequels. Yes, you should watch in the order they were released as opposed to chronological order, because episodes 1, 2, and 3 are regarded as the worst movies in the saga. Well, first of all, you can say whatever you want about the prequels, but the worst movies in this saga, since you're including the Kennedy movies, they're the worst. There's no, you could hate the prequels, and they're still better than than whatever Kathleen Kennedy did, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it could get
Specifically
worse.
8 and 9, but yeah.
Right. Specifically 8 and 9. I don't think it can get worse than like the sequel trilogy. 1, 2, and 3 are regarded as the worst movies in the saga. You'll have to sit through some cheese-tastic stuff overall, really, but you'll also have some truly beautiful faces bringing their acting A game. By the end, you'll be fully qualified to let Adam have his way with you in the big finale. This is so weird. Professor, are you not shocked that I had this article? Come on, give me
for the
some
Cosmo
props here.
audience, man.
What'd you say?
It's written for the Cosmo audience. I gotta at least say they know their audience.
So yeah, so first of all, the badass heroines ranked from VIP to girl bye. Number 1, Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher. The first non-helpless heroine our moms idolized. 2, Rey, Daisy Ridley. Relatable and scrappy. Bonus points for her major sexual chemistry with Kylo Ren. Did she really have any chemistry with him? I didn't feel like she didn't have any chemistry with him at all, in my opinion. Maybe because they kind of always tried to make her look kind of boyish or something. That's a whole different thing. Rose Tico, Kelly Marie Tran, newbie fighter on the good side, cool sidekick, fangirl stand-in.
God, Rose Tico was the worst.
The worst character. The worst.
It's not the actress. The actress was fine.
She didn't do anything
never
wrong.
had any problem with Kelly Marie Tran and her in the way that she played the role. The character was insufferable.
I like Marla Sharondoff's comment here where she says, yuck, this is yuck. And then Padme Amidala, Natalie Portman, sweet but has a glaring weakness for an evil bae. Oh, like this is so awful. Professor, this is the worst. This is the worst article ever. The hots to watch for. Irresistible fuckboys to husband material. Man, this is it just keeps getting worse. Number 1, Kylo Ren, Adam Driver. Honestly, the main reason why I wrote this story. If we must stand Star Wars to stand Evil Adam, so be it. Number 2, Han Solo, Harrison Ford. This bad boy you can actually tame. Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac, moody, noble, really good at battle. Is he really good at battle? Guys, he's Jon Snow. Is he? What are these people talking about? Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor. No one on this planet has more charisma than Ewan. Well, they must have not seen the series Kenobi. Is that like hate me, at me, whatever? I will fight. Oh, at me, I will fight you. Okay. Then I guess there's more here. Glossary.
Did you not catch? She is totally racist because she did not call out John Boyega's acting his
Oh,
character
she
in
doesn't.
this.
She didn't think that he was the fuck
No
boy and
Finn.
husband
No Finn
material.
there. Nope. Nope. Maybe that could be
Very.
because Disney screwed him over and took what could have been a really interesting character with a great arc and turned him into nothing more than a punchline.
Whalem says fuckboys. It does say fuckboys. That's what it says. This was a
Ugh.
real article about Star Wars that appeared. And the funny thing is, Professor, this is the same time where they published the article, the same time frame where they published the article that they did that Apple show based on. So we're learning the type of editorial vibe this magazine has, and the fact that they would then make a series about like a Karen hacker lady finding extreme right-wing people is just ridiculous. Anyhow, glossary droid, a robot that stores tons of info like a walking cloud. Some speak English and some can be your BFF, and others just say beep and boop. Ugh. The Force, a mysterious kind of woo-woo energy in the universe. A group called the Jedi uses the Force for good, but obvs, there are a bunch of villains who want to use it for evil. Lightsaber, a sword with a luminescent humming energy blade that doubles as a shade detector. His lights up green, his is pure like a Jonas brother. Red, he's basically Ted Bundy. Okay. Man, this is so awful. This is so awful, Professor.
It's punishing.
Stormtrooper, a soldier for the bad guys. That's like the only thing that's sort of true. Yoda, the wee and wise alien who taught all the best Jedi how to use the Force. Very Buddha, much Zen. And I guess that's the article.
Wow.
This is the article, ladies and gentlemen. It was then deleted. I don't know why it was deleted. I can only think that somebody maybe from Lucasfilm read it and thought that this was the crappiest thing ever. And it really just explains why Kathleen Kennedy is stupid. Because, like, her whole thing is she's trying to make it like a girl brand. And when you see Cosmopolitan and ladies watch this and this is what they think, it pretty much highlights why Star Wars shouldn't be a girl brand. No, I'm not saying that there aren't women that like Star Wars, but I think that trying to kind of tailor it for ladies like Kathleen Kennedy has done in several years, I think that's a mistake. I think she needed to keep it the way it was, and there are ladies that enjoy it. I know a lot of ladies that like it, so it's not that I'm saying that it's not possible, but this explains why it's not like a girl-driven brand.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah,
Do you
it's so weird. The way fuck boys. Seriously, this is how you're
and it's called the Millennial Woman Star Wars Explainer. Any woman
I'm sorry
that
if
doesn't know,
you're a millennial and you don't know what the hell Star Wars is. Seriously? Like whatever.
Bingo Hasman says, where can I find this? You can't. Well, you can find it now because I've shared it. But basically, this was deleted. Like I said, there was a Cosmopolitan magazine that came out. And
Yeah,
it came
I
out in
looked
2019 before Rise of Skywalker came out. I had the hard copy of it. That's why I was able to scan it. This is not something that somebody else scanned. I personally scanned this. That's why we have it. Because I bought the hard copy, I scanned it, and it was already gone from their website. I think that maybe it was initially there. It's not there anymore. You could try one of those Wayback Machines, try to find it. I don't know.
Yep.
All I know is that you can probably not find this article online, and this may be the first time anybody has ever shared it. So this is like a worldwide exclusive right here on the Night Owl.
Yep.
I don't know if it's worldwide exclusive that anybody cares about, but yeah, go on.
I looked up this author on Cosmopolitan's website to show me all of the articles published with this author's name. This is not included. It's not on there.
I know it's not. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
they deleted it.
Yep.
I suspect, this is what I think, and I have no way to prove it. Somebody, there's a few things that could have happened. One, before Rise of Skywalker came out, maybe, Kathleen Kennedy and her PR people wanted a magazine like Cosmo to write about it, a website like that. Maybe they want to bring the ladies in. So maybe they said, hey, can you write something about Star Wars? And they said, sure. And then they must have caught wind of it. And probably even Kathleen Kennedy and her people, whoever they are, must have seen this article and said, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to us. Please delete this. Nobody can ever see this article. So it was in print. And I guess the amount of people that actually buy printed Cosmopolitan are very few. I wonder if it was removed from certain prints or something. I don't know. I have it. I did it, and I tried to get the reason why you didn't see it. You can blame drunk 3PO if you ever see him.
It refers.
He'll tell
does
you.
It actually say it points through the droids and says basically OG iPhones.
That does say it. Yeah, let me see if I can enlarge this. That's like the final bit of stupidity that I just didn't even notice. Yeah,
Oh my
it does say
God.
that.
Basically the OG iPhones. Yeah.
Oh, this is so awful. This article is as stomach churning as a screenplay for Indiana Jones and Diaper of Dysentery. Yeah.
Still have not seen that. Refuse to watch it.
And says, so then this article is Lord R2D2 can be your BFF. Is that robosexual? I don't even know. I don't know, but I'm so happy I was able to finally share it. And the only reason is because you brought up Cosmopolitan, and finally I had a reason to bring up
You had a
Cosmopolitan.
reason to bring it up. Yeah.
So I'm happy that I was able to do that. The final thing that I think we wanted to get to when we went around it is the Tylenol. Do you want to?
Oh my God.
Let's quickly go over the Tylenol thing, and that'll be our, kind of grand finale.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, I thought I had a story here about this. So, if you can find a story, Price, I can talk about it real quick. So, they yesterday, or was it earlier today? I guess it was earlier today. They were talking about how there were a number of different things that the Department of Health was looking at to try and determine what these sources were, what were the reasons for the rising rates of autism. And there's been a lot of different things that have been looked at, been considered over the years. There's been a number of different vaccinations and things that people that that some people have tried to focus on, saying that those are the things that have been the major reasons for the increases in autism, right? We had all of these different people who are arguing, oh, it was this vaccine, it's the mercury content of thimerosal, this preservative that's in there, pointing at all of these different things, trying to claim that all of these different things were the reason. Unfortunately, there's a lot of confounding factors to try and say, here's this is the reason, right? But as we've seen, there's been a lot of concern, people, wondering why these autism rates have been increasing so rapidly, and a lot of parents that are looking for answers. And so there was this, the news conference that they did with DHS and with RFK Jr. and Trump, talking about some of the different measures that they want to take, some of the different changes they want to make. They were talking about making changes to the vaccination schedule so that you're not getting quite so many vaccinations for these kids all at the same time. The vaccinations do cause issues. They cause inflammation. They cause various different problems. Perhaps spreading them out a little bit, not doing them all at once, maybe that helps. We don't know, but they were essentially saying these are recommendations that we're making, not saying don't take vaccines, but let's spread those vaccines out. And then they did say, there's others like hepatitis B that perhaps we don't actually need to be giving that to every single baby immediately when they're, born. Maybe we can hold off on some of these things and we can spread things out more. We don't have as many combined vaccines. Perhaps ideally, that would mean that we could maybe identify a little more easily what the reasons were for some of these different vaccines to and maybe we could identify more whether a vaccine was at happened to be at fault. But one of the things that they did when they were talking about this was they were recommending that that they had found some research, and there has been research done, in fact, for many years. Some people believing that acetaminophen, that's is Tylenol, is potentially, when it's taken by a pregnant woman, when that baby is in utero, that it might in fact affect them in some way, affect the baby's development, brain development. And there's been a number of different research studies that have not said that this is a causal relationship, not saying that, we have definitively tied taking acetaminophen to this, but there's a bunch of different studies that have shown that perhaps there is a relationship between those medicines, and that it might be a good recommendation to say, women shouldn't be taking that while they're pregnant, and that perhaps that, uh, perhaps that maybe we recommend that women don't have that unless they really, really need it when they're pregnant. And then was asking, what's Tylenol for UK? That's paracetamol, I believe is what they call it over there. It's acetaminophen here, but Tylenol is just the common brand name for it. But people on the left, of course, since this recommendation came from RFK and Trump, there's a bunch of people on the left who have gone completely nuts, just lost their minds over this. Acetaminophen is actually, it's not a completely harmless drug.
No, I mean, it's
Abusing it is potentially deadly.
well, first of all, it's been known for years that if you use it all the time and a lot of it could do damage to your liver.
It doesn't even take a long time. If you overdose on it, and specifically one thing that has happened that a lot of people have ended up with liver damage from is taking that at the same time that they have alcohol, because it causes significant toxicity in the liver. And so there are a number of people who have liver damage specifically because they had some Tylenol and some alcohol at the same time. Or they thought, oh, it's over the counter Tylenol. I can just take as much as I need to help get rid of, my headache or whatever. And it's actually quite dangerous. It's not particularly difficult to have too much and cause yourself some real harm. So yeah, it's it's interesting that these people would sort of immediately think, "Oh, it's harmless, whatever." And so now there's been this ridiculous thing that's been happening on TikTok and various other social media platforms where they've been taking the Tylenol
Oh,
challenge.
they're so
Oh my
stupid.
god. Literally, there are people on videos like tipping up a bottle of Tylenol into their mouths and putting a whole bunch. I'm sure they didn't. I'm sure that a lot of those people did not swallow those tablets, but simply like implying that they were. Like, that's nuts. Somebody could actually do that thinking that's okay, and they could cause themselves serious harm. And then there's women, pregnant women who are, of course, crazy leftists saying, "Screw you, Trump. I can take I'll take the Tylenol challenge. I'm not gonna hurt my baby," and then like taking a bunch of Tylenol while they're pregnant. I mean, this is just insane. These people are so dumb. They did not say Tylenol has a causal relationship to autism. What they said was, look, there's some studies out there that might indicate that this could be a risk for increasing your child's chances of getting autism, of being somewhere on the spectrum or having issues with ADHD or whatever. So maybe, just maybe, we should just step away from that and not take that as a medication while you're pregnant with your baby. There's a whole list of things that they say you should not have when you're pregnant because they do. They travel through the placenta, they can affect the baby, they can interrupt various different processes in that developing child, and what the research is showing is that that is potentially an issue. Oh, looks like we got a raid over on Rumble from 7 Ninja 7. So welcome, raiders. We appreciate that.
Thank you. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, what did you have another chat here to read?
There was
Oh,
something here. Elizabeth Quinn says 3 things hubby and I agreed we wouldn't have in our home 30 years ago: diet drinks, veal, and Tylenol. I've added truffles. Have added truffles due to what mafia does to dogs. I have
Hmm.
no idea what that means, but
Oh,
that's
okay.
interesting. I also see that I think, Ricky, you don't have to post that thing if it's what I think it is. There have been some videos that people are trying to watch different angles of what happened to Charlie Kirk and come up with different ideas. Uh, I personally am not, you know, I think that people are, this is my personal
Yeah,
opinion. I think that people are trying to find something uh, where
I
there's nothing to be
understand
found.
I understand people looking for answers when there's so much there's so much that's vague about what has happened. Obviously, they haven't shared things like ballistics with us that from actual investigations. I have seen recreations from several very well-known, very trusted YouTubers kind of showing, exactly how ballistics might have been handled in that situation. I think they're fairly convincing. I'm not convinced by a lot of this second shooter, whatever nonsense. The perfect timing that would have to take place between one shooter and another shooter so that you would cover up the sound of a second weapon or whatever. I think all of this seems very, very far-fetched versus the most credible theory that I have heard so far being that he was wearing body armor, and in fact, I've seen several shots where I do believe you actually can kind of see what he was wearing. The type of body armor that he was wearing was a simple plate armor. It's fairly small. It really just covers sort of vital organs, just right in the center of mass, and it's just held on by essentially uh, like a compression shirt, essentially, and it's tan colored. There's several pictures at the event where you can see he's sort of leaning over and his t-shirt is sort of tipped over, and you can see the tan colored shirt that he's got on underneath it. That's what's holding that, what he referred to as we've heard from some people that it's stealth, what he referred to as stealth armor. It wasn't particularly like it wasn't a vest. It was a very simple plate. It was not particularly large, and that the most reasonable thing that I have seen is that where that struck, it struck the very edge of that armor. It caused that to ricochet upwards and potentially fracture into multiple different pieces, and it struck him. Parts of it struck him uh, you know, in the vein right there in his neck, causing him to bleed out very quickly. Perhaps it, did more damage. It might have moved backwards and hit his spine. But from what we've heard, that the bullet must have lost a significant amount uh, you know, of its momentum when it struck that piece of armor, because the according to people, at TPUSA, the bullet was found just right below the skin. It didn't, it there was no exit wound. It didn't come out anywhere else. So There's a lot of conspiracies and stuff that people have about this. I think in time we are going to hear more about it. I understand the instinct that people have to try and fill in the missing pieces here and there. Um, I myself, I tend to fall back on Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is probably the right one. And I've seen several people do it, trying to do recreations, modeling, doing other stuff, and this is the thing that seems to make by far the most sense.
There's
Right.
another
So
thing that, I see some people showing that there's something that it looks like that the bullet is coming from another direction, but I actually think that's a cable that has to do with like some earpiece that he has or something. There's something else going on there, and it doesn't look like, from another angle, it doesn't look like what those theorists are saying. Like
yeah,
you said,
and none of that explains the motion of his shirt on the front. Where it suddenly jerks up, and if you're looking at the idea of the bullet deflecting off of the armor, that would help explain, that why that shirt suddenly pulls up and jerks that way. Uh, Obviously, there's all sorts of different things that could have happened. Of
do you
all the stuff
think
that I've seen, I think that's the one that makes the most sense.
do you think, and this is a terrible thing to ask, but I can't help, I'm wondering, do you think if he didn't have some kind of body plate that he would have been had a
No.
chance to survive?
Absolutely not. No, again, and I've seen some specialists talking about this. Trying to think specifically as Paramount. Tactical is one that I was looking at where they were talking about it. If he had not had plate armor on, if it had not deflected off that plate, which is again, that's just a theory. They don't know for sure, but if he had been struck in that spot where it would have deflected off of that plate armor, even though in this case that deformed and deflected and ended up striking him, in the neck and hitting that vein and causing him to bleed out very quickly. Uh, if that armor had not been there, the bullet would have entered right where that is. It still would have struck him. It still would have severed that carotid artery. It just lower, right? And then
Right.
very likely, had it not been slowed by the body armor, he would have had an exit wound, and it would have been a very large exit wound. He probably still would have been hit in a place where he would have bled out very quickly. He would have had a large exit wound. So even without the body armor, it's very unlikely that he would have survived. In fact, probably even less likely. So, yeah. From everything that we've heard so far, at least from what I would consider credible sources.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Was there? Oh, the final thing is, the Phobos brought up that Keith Olbermann threatened Scott
Oh,
Jennings and tried to delete it, and then we'll
Keith
just say that,
Olbermann
and
is
then we can wrap up.
such
Did you
dude,
see
such
that?
he is such a jackass. I can't it's been a long time since I have completely dismissed absolutely everything that Keith Olbermann ever says. You'll remember he had a show on MSNBC for some time. He was he is he was kicked off of that show for saying ridiculous stuff and being an ass. And ever since then, he's just gotten worse, more parabolic. He's ridiculous. He's ridiculous.
Let me see. I'm trying to find this thing. Where can I find it? Keith Olbermann. Okay, Keith Olbermann, Scott Jennings. So let's see if I can share it. That's because Phobos was asking to address this. Scott Jennings asked FBI to investigate these reported threats made, then deleted by Keith Olbermann. And the threats are, "You're next, motherfucker," and then, "But keep mugging to the camera." What does he want? He's always been such a weirdo, this Keith Olbermann guy. I remember that there was at one point, they thought he was sort of like a colorful character, and Jon Stewart was doing really well with his show. And I think that CNN or whatever it was, they wanted to have like kind of a Jon Stewart-ish type of show. So they brought Keith Olbermann and gave him, I don't know if it was that or another channel, that they gave him like his own show to be a little more colorful. But his show didn't do so well. I mean, Jon Stewart today is like unwatchable, but back in the day, many years ago, I thought he was a bit more watchable. Uh, in any case, Scott Jennings, you wrote, marking myself safe today from that far left nut, Keith Olbermann.
Yeah, I did see that.
Radio network, marking myself safe from that nut, Keith Olbermann, who you might have read threatened yours truly on the internet yesterday. Everybody seems to have taken notice of this. The poster boy for left-wing outrage, the poster boy for complete broken brain progressivism, threatening me, of all people, live on the Salem radio.
So that was that. I don't think anything is going to happen to Keith Olbermann, but Keith Olbermann is stupid.
Yeah, what a jackass.
Keith Olbermann was only good with sportsing, I guess. I don't know. I don't even remember.
Yeah, he was originally he was a sports.
I see. And then they tried to let him do politics and
yeah.
stuff. And yeah, I mean, you were saying before,
And
I
he
guess
was an absolutely unhinged leftist. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that Stephen A. Smith, it seems a little more reasonable. Olbermann, I've never really bought into him. There's nothing that Keith Olbermann did that I ever thought, oh, this guy's a real deal. It's almost like a guy that I'm not even sure how he got as far as he got. He really has like nothing to offer, and he's always, like you said, been unhinged and acted strangely and whatever. Nothing's going to happen to him, of course. Of course, when somebody that's far left does it, nobody's going to do anything, but it is what it is. I guess at this point, Professor, if you have all the names of the people.
Well, yeah, here, I will, I'll give you some names here to read. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Good luck with all those.
So this is for Rumble. I assume Chris Tomic.
Yep. And there's
Chris
2
Tomic,
sets there as well. Oh.
Istophobos, Empress NM, Badass Dude, Sailor Dude 2022, Elizabeth Quince, who's a subscriber and friend of the channel. And wait a second. It keeps on running away from me.
Yep.
So you have Reach M842, Phantom Monk, Robin SMD85, Tim M. Hayes, Bingo Hazmat, Thor, TNA Tnak Gal, GOS85, Consensus, Karma is Real 1, Biblin KVJV Kathy AZ, Howling Mads. Did I get everybody? Oh, there's more.
Yep, there's a second one and a third one.
There's a third one. Shillowak, Folsom Lockdown, Lynette Met TVer XXXX, Texas Patriot 777, Dingbat 2000, Radio Streamer, Power 56, Louis AZ DJ, and Angel Desert West Jan, Dude Bro Seth 420, cheers. Timothy Tinkleff, Lich, Angelo DD, Hello from Frodo, Daddy Sap, and Larry NH. And then
there's a few more. Yep.
Chev Chelios, Boner Person. That sounds like a cool guy. Blue Angel Halo, Whiteoff 99, Senpai 76. How's it going, man? Ricky the Dicky, and Kuza.
Yeah. All right. And then over on YouTube. Oh, where'd my window go? Find it here. Let's see. We had Amelia Bedelia, Badfoot, Caleb Levine, Darkwing Duck, Darren M., David Costin, Eclay Thomason, Granola Grin, Hoot Owl, Inku, Istphobos, Jason Webster, Jim Noxious, Jonathan Conroy, Keely Chow, Kendrick Lama, Marla Sharondoff, Marks47, Monty Montgomery, and thanks for the super chat, Monty. Mur Rockstro, Obi Dean, Phantom Outsider, Rebecca Gold. Hey there, Ian. Release the McCracken, Sean Green, Slice of Treason. You like that one, Price?
I've seen that one before.
Slice of Treason. Yeah.
Don't know what to say about it, but yes, I've seen it.
Smilex, Stephen Mack, Tex Rogers, Tim Hayes, Tomahawk 511, Whalem 03, Yitis, and Zune RJ5. So lots of people joining us tonight. Great to have you all here. Don't forget to leave us a thumbs up. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And, hey, leave a comment after if you have anything to say. Yeah. Help support the stream.
Sounds like the ninja version of Price. Maybe. Great stream, everybody. Sorry I haven't been in as often I would like. Hope you all have a wonderful night. It's nice to see you. And
It's
you
good to
were
see you,
active.
Radio Stream. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great to see you. And Professor, if you have anything you want to plug or talk about before we go, it's
Nope. Just we'll be back here on Thursday evening, 11:45 Eastern, for the
Yep.
Night Owl. Me and Price hanging out, talking about the news of the week.
Absolutely. So we'll see you all there Thursday night, 11:45 p.m. Eastern. And I guess that's it for now.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Bye.